bread, and a place of fear. Strange sounds were heard in these forests, unexplained tracks were found, and some hunters who entered lost their way. Strange tracks would sometimes be found in the mud, resembling a rabbit but larger, and beside them other inexplicable marks. The oldest visual records of the Wolpertinger date to the 17th century. Engravings and woodcuts depicted small horned animals. So how did the question of whether this animal was real or imagined first arise? For this, we need to look at the beginning of a name and a story. Wolterdingen, a small town in Baden-Württemberg. Its glassmakers crafted schnapps glasses shaped like animals called Wolterdinger. Over time, this name changed, evolved, and became Wolpertinger. At least, that was one theory. Another theory comes from Walpurgisnacht, Germany's Night of the Witches. Celebrated each year on April 30th, this night was when the strangest creatures were believed to appear in the forests. The dialectal form of Walpurgis, Walper, may over time have transformed into Wolpertinger. Both theories share one point: the name evolved naturally to describe this animal. So, how did the Wolpertinger come to be? According to the Bavarian legend, a hare and a roebuck fell in love, and their offspring was the very first Wolpertinger. As the hybrids grew, they became stranger still. Different species continued mating with each other: fox and duck, pine, marten, and pheasant. Each generation a little stranger, a little more complex. This is why no two Wolpertingers look alike. Some small, some large, some mostly rabbit, some fitted with eagle wings. The Wolpertinger appears only on full moon nights, and only a beautiful young woman who enters the forest with the right person can see it. When these conditions are met, the Wolpertinger will appear of its own accord and display its enchanting presence, according to legend. But the legend has another face, the story of a hunter named Matthias, the most celebrated, most arrogant hunter in Bavaria. Matthias boasted at every opportunity, "I can track any creature in the forest," he would say. "No animal can escape me." One day, he entered the forest and lost his way. The trees seemed to shift position, the familiar path was gone, and the forest grew steadily darker. And at that very moment, the forest fell silent. When Matthias turned, he saw a small creature watching him with calm eyes. The creature tilted its head, then it stamped its small foot on the ground. The sound was far greater than such a small creature should make. It rolled through the forest like thunder. Matthias trembled. For the first time, he felt fear, and raising his hands, he whispered an apology to both the creature and the forest. The Wolpertinger blinked once, slowly. Then with one flutter of its wings, it glided into the treetops and vanished. Matthias returned to the village, but he was no longer the same man. He stayed quiet. He did not boast. And he taught the young hunters, the forest gives you only what you need. This story was passed from generation to generation in Bavaria, and the Wolpertinger came to represent an invisible balance protecting the forest. The early 1800s, in the small towns of Bavaria, taxidermists were the most curious craftspeople of forested regions. These craftsmen had leftover animal parts, a rabbit's head, deer antlers, pheasant wings, and with a bit of curiosity, a bit of mischief, they decided to make something. What emerged was astonishing. This hybrid animal, both comical and eerily realistic, captivated people, and the taxidermists began selling these creatures to tourists as local wildlife. Visitors believed, paid their money, and carried Bavaria's mystery home with them. Business grew. Each Wolpertinger became a little more complex, from 3 animals to 4, then 5, some with bull's horns, some with eagle's claws. Throughout the 19th century, these creatures decorated the inns and hunting lodges of Bavaria, and the legend grew stronger. Seeing the stuffed animal made people believe the story more. The inns and taverns became legend centers. Locals told stories to tourists. With each telling, the creature grew a little bigger, a little stronger. This was not just a game, it was also part of the Bavarian economy, and this tradition continues to this day. The Deutsches Jagd- und Fischereimuseum in Munich, the German hunting and fishing museum, still hosts a permanent exhibition dedicated to the Wolpertinger today. This exhibition holds dozens of different Wolpertinger specimens, each assembled from different animal parts, each one an artwork in its own right. And here you notice how convincing this creature looks. If someone told you this is a real animal, many people would believe it. Because these taxidermists did not see this as deception. For them, it was an art, a creativity where imagination met nature. Today, the Wolpertinger has become Bavaria's unofficial mascot. It appears everywhere on beer steins, postcards, t-shirts, and souvenirs. Even mentioned in the Brothers Grimm's German legends, this creature is now not just a folk legend but a symbol of cultural identity. And here an interesting question arises. Is this creature entirely a product of imagination, or does it have a counterpart in real nature? Now, I'm going to tell you something very surprising. In real life, there are horned rabbits. But seeing a Wolpertinger is not easy. It requires very special conditions. A beautiful, unmarried woman, a full moon night, and the right male companion. The Wolpertinger appears when these three conditions come together. The Wolpertinger is sensitive not just to beauty, but to a kind of purity and intention. It never appears beside someone arrogant. But there are also recipes for those who want not just to see it, but to catch it. First, sprinkle salt on its tail. Yes, that is really what they say. Second method, prop a sack open with a shovel. Place a candle inside. The Wolpertinger will come toward the light. Once inside the sack, remove the shovel and you will have it trapped. Are these stories told seriously? Do Bavarians take themselves seriously? Absolutely not. This is a deception passed from generation to generation, told with a smile. And this is one of the Bavarians' favorite types of game, playing tricks on strangers, surprising them, and then laughing together. The real Wolpertinger, if it exists, may be watching all these pranks from a distance, from deep in the forest, safely. The year 1933. In the American Midwest, in the state of Iowa, a virologist named Richard Shupp was studying hunters' reports. Hunters were telling him something astonishing. They were seeing horned rabbits, real wild, living rabbits, and these horns were not inspired by legend. Shupp discovered that these growths originated from a virus, the cottontail rabbit papillomavirus, a virus spread through mosquitoes and ticks. This virus creates hard horn-like protrusions on the rabbit's face, neck, and ears, exactly what you would see in a Wolpertinger illustration. The horned rabbits in 17th century engravings found in Bavaria were probably animals infected by this virus, and these images planted the first seeds of the Wolpertinger legend. And Richard Shupp's discovery would change the world, because this virus bore great similarities to the human papillomavirus HPV. Shupp's research on rabbit virus laid the groundwork for developing the HPV vaccine, the vaccine that today protects millions from cervical cancer, a scientific legacy of a Bavarian legend. Think for a moment. The horned rabbits seen by Bavarian villagers opened the door to one of the most important medical discoveries of the 20th century. In 2025, in Colorado, virally horned rabbits made headlines again. People shared photos on social media. Some remembered the legend, some the virus. And perhaps there was never a real Wolpertinger, but there was a story that taught respect, and a virus that advanced science. And between these two, imagination built a bridge. Today, the Wolpertinger is everywhere in Bavaria, and this is not just a commercial phenomenon, it is an inseparable part of Bavarian identity. In the World of Warcraft game, a special Wolpertinger pet is offered each year. A similar creature exists in RuneScape too. This legend has migrated to the digital world as well. In Walter Moore's famous novel Rumo and His Miraculous Adventures, creatures called Wolpertings form the main characters, found a place in literature too. The reason Bavaria has such rich folklore is actually its geography. Deep forests, isolated mountain villages, long winter nights. These conditions create the perfect environment for stories to be born. And these stories were passed by word of mouth for generations. Each telling changed a little. Each new generation added its own interpretation. That is why the Wolpertinger does not die, because this is not an animal legend. This is the legend of humanity's relationship with nature and with each other. But the Wolpertinger is not alone. In different corners of the world, nearly identical creatures emerged independently. America's jackalope, Wyoming, the 1930s, rabbit body with antelope horns. The same idea, a different continent, the same human imagination. Sweden's skvader, made in 1918 by taxidermist Rudolf Granberg. Front body of a hare, rear body of a wood grouse, on display today at Sundsvall Museum. Austria's Raurakal, just across the border, nearly identical to the Wolpertinger, as if it were an imagination virus that Bavarians spread to their neighbors too. There are also variations within Germany itself. Helvetrich, Rasselbach, Dildap. Each region has its own hybrid creature. This is a universal pattern. Throughout history, humans combined animals. Sphinx, griffin, hippogriff, simurgh, and Wolpertinger. Different cultures, the same human desire to shape the unknown. Now, as we reach the end of this video, I want to leave you with one thought. Is the Wolpertinger real? No, at least not in the sense that taxidermists assembled it. But horned rabbits are real, and these images, centuries ago, set people's imagination alight. And the taxidermists took this reality, kneaded it with their own creativity, and created a culture. This culture lives on today, in museums, souvenir shops, screens, and in the imagination of children. And still today, a Bavarian telling tourists about the Wolpertinger puts on the same smile their ancestors wore. And the Wolpertinger, within all these great stories, continues to remain a small forest beast, rabbit-headed, squirrel-bodied, deer-antlered, pheasant-winged. And only on full moon nights, in the right corner of the forest, with the right intention, perhaps you can see it. And perhaps that is the most important thing, not whether you see the Wolpertinger, but finding it worth searching for. Because legends tell us not reality, but how we see reality. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling similar stories from around the world. Don't forget to subscribe. And the Wolpertinger looked back one last time, then it dissolved into the darkness. The forest returned to its own rhythm, as if nothing had happened, but something had changed. In the shadow of Bavaria's Alps, in the deep forest, a legend continues to live, and perhaps that is enough. Bavaria's answer is always the same. Have you ever seen one? And this question is more valuable than its answer. Wolpertinger, Bavaria's impossible animal, a legend, a deception, a science story, and a forest spirit.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
In Bulgaria's Pirin Mountains, something mysterious happens every spring from midnight until the break of dawn. The forest nymph Samadiva dances, her feet barely touch the ground, and whoever sees her can never forget it. Her name is Samadiva, the most powerful and most dangerous forest nymph of Bulgarian and Slavic mythology. Her voice completely enchants a man. Travelers who hear her song follow her and never return again. But Samadiva is not alone. All her sisters gather in the mountains every midnight and dance together. But when you anger her, you encounter a very different face. She transforms into a giant fire-throwing bird, Samodiva, the wild forest nymph of the Pirin Mountains, the most dangerous and most enchanting legend of Bulgaria. Let us now begin from the very start, from ancient Thrace, Slavic migrations, and the Bulgarian national revival. The deepest roots of the Samodiva legend reach back to ancient Thrace, to the cult of Orpheus and his maiden priestesses. Today, there are still Samadivsky lakes in the Pirin Mountains, a real place named after the Samadiva. In the 6th and 7th centuries, Slavic tribes arrived in Balkan lands and merged with Thracian beliefs. The Greek historian Procopius wrote in the 6th century, the slaves were offering sacrifices to beings similar to Greek nymphs. The word Samadiva consists of two parts. Samo means alone and Diva means wild and divine at the same time. The earliest written evidence of the Samadiva dates to the 13th century. Traces of Balkan tradition and ancient Slavic period appear together. The legend is so powerful it has been carved into the topography itself. Samadivsky Lakes in Pirin is the most beautiful proof. Samadivas descend to the human world only in spring. They stay until autumn and spend winter in Zmekovo. Zmekovo, the mythical village where Samadivas spend the winter. No human can reach it. It belongs only to them. Samodivas live inside ancient trees, in abandoned huts, or in caves near water sources in the mountains. Samadivas are normally invisible. Only those born on Christmas Eve or Orthodox Easter Saturday can see them. When autumn comes, Samadivas leave the forests. The mountains grow cold, and the legend sleeps for a while. The dance begins at midnight and ends at dawn. The dance of the Samadivas is the raw energy of both nature and the supernatural. Travelers out late at night have witnessed this dance. They were drawn to the beauty and joined in. They were found dead at dawn. Samadiva steals all life energy from the man who falls in love with her. He becomes obsessed and slowly dies. Her voice drives a man completely mad. The man no longer eats, drinks, or thinks of anything else whatsoever. Sometimes she takes a shepherd or forest stranger as her lover. This relationship always ends with the man dying of exhaustion. But Samadiva is not only dangerous, she knows mountain plants and medicinal herbs better than anyone else. In folktales, the hero must secretly eavesdrop on a gathering of Samadivas to learn a cure for his sick loved one. Certain plants are identified with Samadivas. Euonymus elatus is healing only if gathered on the eve of Ascension Day. Samadiva's power comes from her hair. If her long, wild golden hair is cut, she either vanishes or loses all power. Sometimes she gives her lover a strand of her hair. This strand places him completely under the Samadiva's control. Samadiva's power lies not only in her hair, but also in her gown. Without that gown, she cannot fly and becomes powerless. The shepherd Ivalio stole Samadiva Marika's gown while she bathed, leaving her powerless and forcing her to marry him. 3 years later, they had a child. At the celebration, the godfather invited Marika to dance. She danced, but looked faded. Marika said, "Without my gown, I cannot dance like that. I'm no longer myself. Half of me is missing." In the folk song, 3 Samadivas bathe, and a shepherd steals all gowns. He returns first, 2, and marries the 3rd. An angered Samadiva brings drought. She burns crops. She kills cattle with fever. A bad harvest is her doing. A shepherd who kills Samadiva's deer is rewarded with the most terrible death. Harm done to nature is unforgivable. Each Samadiva is guardian of a specific tree, animal, flower, or mountain stream. She is the watcher of nature. Samadiva can transform into a swan, wolf, snake, or falcon at will. Her only limit is the imagination itself. Sometimes she rides a stag with snake reins. She hunts as queen of the forest, and nothing can stand before her. The story of Krali Marko, one of the most famous heroes of Slavic mythology, intersects deeply with the Samadiva. In one legend, the Samadiva named Vila found baby Krali Marko in the forest and raised him with her own milk. Krali Marko, who grew on Samadiva milk, gained supernatural powers. This milk took him far beyond any ordinary human. The Samadiva named Vita locked the 12 springs in the region and caused drought. Krali Marko had to stop her. In this conflict, Krali Marko defeated Vita, but the victory did not come easily. Samadiva had never been defeated before. Kaval master Demo entered a music competition against Girgia Samadiva. The winner would take the loser for themselves. Demo won. When Girgia Samadiva lost the musical battle, she was forced to go with him to his village. In another folk song, Samadiva kidnaps a musician and never gives him back. Her beauty selects her own victim. In North Macedonia, there is a tradition of Samavilski weddings. A passerby drinks wine and gives gold to the bride. According to Macedonian belief, Samadiva enters a man's heart and stays 5 years. Then she joins his soul and goes to heaven. In the 19th century, Bulgaria was under Ottoman rule. The people were seeking their freedom, and legends gave them strength. Hristo Botev, Bulgarian revolutionary and poet, born in 1848, fell in battle in 1876. His life lasted barely 30 years. 1868, Hadji Dimitar. He fought against Ottoman forces to free Bulgaria and was left dying on a mountain. In Botev's poem, Samadivas come to the side of the dying Hadji Dimitar. They sing, touch him, and comfort him. Botev wrote this poem in 1873. Samadivas were now not just forest nymphs, but symbols of Bulgarian courage and freedom. Samadiva now represented the bridge between the warrior protecting the land and the land for which he gave his life. In the 19th century, Bulgarian intellectuals collected these stories. Samadiva legend became a cornerstone of national identity. Harry Potter's Vila was inspired by the Samadiva, beautiful, enchanting, putting men in a trance and turning into a bird when angry. In Harry Potter, Bulgaria came to the Quidditch World Cup with Vila mascots. This was not a coincidence. The Bulgarian band Balkanji writes folk metal songs about Samodiva. The legend is alive in modern music. Today, Samodivsky Lakes is a real tourism destination. The legend is engraved in the geography and continues to live. Samodiva is still a powerful figure in contemporary Bulgarian literature and art. The ancient spirit lives in modern forms. As we approach the end of this video, I want to ask a question that truly makes you think about the Samodiva. Samodiva punishes everyone who enters a forest disrespectfully, but what if we are entering nature disrespectfully ourselves? Perhaps Samodiva's real message is this: do not harm nature, do not pollute the forest, do not touch her animals. In the morning, a perfect ring remains in the grass where the dance took place on the mountain. This is called Samodiva's dance. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the world's most enchanting mythology and legend stories. In the shadow of Bavaria's Alps, Samodiva continues to dance in the forests of Pirin every spring from midnight until the break of dawn. And she looks at you one last time over her shoulder. She knows this encounter has changed you. It always changes. The clearing empties. Only that perfect ring in the grass remains. In the first light of morning, the leaves tremble again. And she returns to the mountain, to Pirin, to the lakes, to the trees. Her true home, Pirin awoke to morning. The forest is peaceful. Birds are singing, as if knowing that Samodiva's dance is still continuing. Samodiva, a legend as old as the mountains, the wild spirit of the Bulgarian lands, and she is still there. Samodivsky Lakes can be visited today in Pirin Mountain, a real place, but if you stay late, be careful. Samodiva, wild and alone, divine and dangerous, the eyes of the Bulgarian forests, still watching. Every day, a new dawn breaks over the edge of these waters, and the waters still keep their secrets. And one day, perhaps, you will see it at the right time, in the right place, with the right intention. But when you approach the water, do not forget, Aboriginal people have been saying one thing for 60,000 years, and they had very good reasons to say it. Be careful, the water remembers everything, and it never forgets. Bunyip, Australia's oldest fear, and perhaps its wisest teacher. These rivers still flow, these swamps still breathe, something still lives in these waters. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling legend and reality stories from all around the world. And the Bunyip, one last time, watched the sunrise. Then it returned beneath the waters. The water returned to its own rhythm, as if nothing had happened, but everything had changed. Australia, the world's oldest continent, home to the oldest stories, and these stories will continue to live as long as the waters flow. And now you know too, the story is in you as well, and you can tell it too. The eyes glinted for a moment, then the water closed, and everything was as it had been before. Bunyip, Australia's oldest fear, a spirit, a warning, a scientific question, and a guardian of the wilds. These waters cycle like this every day, and within this cycle there are always unknowns hiding. The new generation is learning these stories, both the fear and the respect, and this balance keeps the waters alive. And so, the Bunyip lives on, from one generation to the next, from mouth to mouth, at the water's edge. Real, legend, science, or memory? Perhaps all of them, perhaps none, but certainly Australia. As Australia's waters keep flowing, the Bunyip will live, and that is enough. And tonight, across all of Australia's waters, a booming rises, low, deep, ancient. And the mystery, it continues, somewhere in the dark waters, waiting. Bunyip, Australia's oldest fear, a legend, a science story, a warning, and a water spirit. Deep in the heart of Russia, a secret voice has been echoing for centuries, touching the deepest fears of humanity. This voice is so beautiful and enchanting that those who hear it even once can no longer remember anything and never wake again. Her name is Alkanost, the most mysterious creature of Slavic mythology, sacred bird of paradise, an eternal symbol of joy and hope. When she sang, weapons fell silent on battlefields, sea storms were calmed, and dying people found comfort in her divine voice. But she has a twin sister. Her name is Siren, and Siren's voice is not beautiful. It is deadly and dark beyond imagination. Siren's song announces pain and death. Everyone who hears her instantly feels that their fate has changed forever. Throughout this video, we will tell the story of joy and sorrow, of light and darkness, and of life and death. Let us now begin from the very start, a very old and ancient Greek legend that continues to fascinate people even today. Alcyone, in Greek mythology, beloved daughter of wind god Aeolus and devoted wife of the sailor king Ceyx. One day, Zeus struck her husband Ceyx's ship with a massive lightning bolt, and the vessel quickly sank into the ocean depths. The gods could not bear the grief and took pity on both of them, transforming both Alcyone and Ceyx into kingfisher birds. And from that day onwards, whenever the kingfisher nested, the sea would become windless and completely still for 7 full days. This ancient Greek legend reached Slavic lands through Byzantine trade routes during the 8th and 9th centuries of the Common Era. The first written record of Alkahest in literary history appeared in the 12th century Izbornik of Sviatoslav from the Kievan Rus period. Bayan Island was the center of the world in Slavic mythology, the first land, home of the gods, and the very starting point of all creation. And Alkahest lived right on this sacred island. She was the guardian of paradise and delivered the messages of the gods to the people. Every year at the midwinter solstice, Alkahest would release her eggs gently into the sea and then patiently wait. During those 7 days, the sea would become completely still, no wind would blow, and sailors could set out on voyages without any fear. But the moment the eggs crack, everything changes instantly. The storm suddenly erupts and the sea reclaims all of its tremendous power. But to truly understand the story of Alkahest, we must first get to know her dark twin Siren and her terrible power. Alkahest is the sacred bird of daytime, of joy, and of hope. Her song brings a heart-filling happiness and profound sense of peace. Siren, on the other hand, is the bird of night and of morning. Her song is a herald of death, pain, and an inevitable end. On the morning of the harvest festival, Alkahest flies over the apple orchards and shakes healing sacred dew from her wings. And on that very same morning, Siren also weeps over those exact same apple trees. Her tears pour down like heavy rain. They are each other's absolute necessity. There is no sorrow without joy, and there is no night without the meaning of day. According to Slavic mythology, Siren also dwelled in the underworld, singing painful punishment songs to evil and sinful souls. Alkahest, meanwhile, sings to the saints in paradise. That song is the announcement of eternal peace, happiness, and paradise itself. They are like two separate sides of the same coin, two inseparable truths, and two indispensable voices of the very same world. There is only one way to be protected from Siren. Bell's sound or cannon fire can drive her away. Absolutely nothing else can. Alkahest, however, has no weakness whatsoever because she is not malevolent. She simply is joy and hope themselves personified. But Alkahest's voice is still extremely dangerous because people who hear it forget everything and can never come back to themselves. A peasant walking through the forest heard the voice. That instant he froze completely. His mind emptied and his body went numb. Days passed, seasons changed, years went by. The man still sat in the same place, same position, in the same deep trance. He finally returned home. His family ran to him, but he could not look at them. His eyes were empty. He was no longer the same man. Siren watches everything from above. She knows that beauty always comes with an extremely heavy price to pay. The year 988. Kievan Rus officially adopted Christianity as the state religion under the leadership of Prince Vladimir. The church destroyed pagan idols and symbols, ruined the sacred ancient groves, and built its own structures to replace them. But it could not eliminate Alknost, because the people loved her too much. The church absorbed her into its own sacred iconography. Alknost now moved from Buyan Island to the Garden of Eden and became the divine messenger delivering God's messages to people. The earliest and most beautiful illustrated record of Alknost appears in the 12th century illuminated Yuryev Gospel manuscript. Inside the church, Alknost took on a sacred role. She now announced to the saints the eternal happiness and peace of paradise. In the 13th century, Alknost was carved into the stone facades of cathedrals and became a permanent part of the architecture. She became the guardian of church gates. She became the shared symbol of both the pagan past and the Christian faith. But the people secretly continued their old traditions. They gathered in forests at night and continued to pray to the old gods. And Alknost lived simultaneously in two separate worlds. She became the one and only bridge connecting two entirely different faiths. In the 18th century, Alknost found another living space. Russian Lubok folk prints carried her into the homes of common people. Peasants hung these prints in their homes, believing that Alknost would protect them from evil and bring good fortune. In 1905, the great Russian poet Alexander Blok brought Alknost into his poetry and transformed her into an icon of symbolist literature. Alknost was no longer just a folk legend. She had also become the muse of high literature and the entire symbolist art movement. In 1895, Russian painter Viktor Vasnetsov began creating the great masterpiece he had been imagining for many long years. He placed Alknost and Siren on the same canvas, wanting to show joy and sorrow, daytime and night simultaneously. In 1896, the painting was completed. Its name was Birds of Joy and Sorrow. Russia could never forget this painting. Today, this painting hangs in the Tretyakov Gallery. It is one of Russia's most beloved and widely recognized works of art. In this painting, sorrowful Siren is on the left, joyful Alknost on the right. Together, they reflect the Slavic dual world view. Today, this painting moves people from every corner of the world in the same way. Beauty is truly universal. In Russia, there is a heavy metal band named Alknost. This name choice reflects the cultural identity of the band very well. Alknost also lives powerfully as a character in video games and in contemporary fantasy literature around the world. In 1906, Alknost figures were carved onto the facade of a bank building in the Ukrainian city of Poltava, becoming an architectural symbol. Today, Alknost is everywhere in modern Slavic folk art, in jewelry, embroidery, ceramics, and textiles across the region. Eastern Europeans carry these figures as tattoos. This is a way for them to reflect their cultural identity and ancestral origins. Alknost was also painted onto Easter eggs. This tradition merged with Orthodox Christianity, even though it has pagan roots. It was printed on a postcard in 1908. 117 years have passed since then. Alknost still stands there. As we approach the end of this video, I want to leave you with one question. Please think about it. If you heard her voice just once, what would you want to forget in your life? Which pain, which burden would you want to leave behind? Perhaps joy always pays an extremely heavy price, and perhaps this price is always worth paying in the end. And without Siren, Alknost means absolutely nothing. Without darkness, the true value of light can never be known. Alknost still flies. She continues to live in Russia's sky, in Slavic dreams, and in the culture of the world. The new generation sees this painting and asks the same question, and asking this question means the legend continues to live. She has been saying the same thing for thousands of years, and she has very powerful reasons to say it. Listen to her. Now she sings, and this time try not to forget everything, because this story truly deserves to be remembered. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling mythology and legend stories from all four corners of the world. and Alcanost flew away to paradise, to that sacred island where she waits until the next winter arrives. The island remained, the flowers continued blooming, and her voice still echoed in the winds across the island. Siren waits alone through the night. She always waits, because without light, even darkness itself loses all meaning. Alcanost, the eternal voice of Slavic mythology, the very embodiment of joy and sorrow, of light and darkness, and of life itself.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
Deep in a waterfall basin on Japan's Izu Peninsula, something terrifying has been hiding for centuries. A beautiful woman appears, but this woman is not real. She is a yokai. She is the Joragumo. Her name is Joragumo, the most dangerous creature of Japanese mythology. Those who fall into her web never escape. She plays the biwa. Silk sound fills the room, and she binds her victim slowly in invisible spider threads. But her true face is very different. Half woman, half spider, and very few people who saw this form survived. Throughout this video, we will tell the most dangerous Japanese legend hidden inside waterfalls, forests, and cities. Joragumo, the web-weaving monster of Japanese mythology. Let us begin from the very start, in a very ancient Japanese forest, from the depths of a very ancient waterfall basin. The word Joragumo has two meanings in Japanese: woman spider and entangled young bride caught in a web. The real Joro spider Trichinophila clavata is famous for its golden silk web. The female is much larger than the male. According to ancient Japanese belief, a spider that lives for 400 years transforms into a powerful yokai and can shapeshift. Through this transformation, Joragumo can take the form of a beautiful woman and easily hunt unsuspecting people. The center of the Joragumo legend is Jorn Falls, on the Izu Peninsula in Shizuoka. It is a place that truly exists. This waterfall basin is her home. Everyone who enters her territory carries the risk of falling into her web. In some accounts, Joragumo lives at the deepest and darkest point of the waterfall basin, watching everything. Its first illustrated record dates to 1776. Toriyama Sekien drew it in his famous work, Gazu Hayaki Yagyo. Joragumo stories appear in Edo period written sources, including the Taihei Hiekomonogatari and the Tonoi Gusa. Toriyama Sekien depicted her with fire-breathing small spiders and portrayed her as a commanding supernatural power. A woodcutter was resting beside the basin of Jorn Falls, his legs dangling in the water, completely unaware of anything. While he rested, an invisible thread silently began wrapping around his ankle from below the water, pulling him down. The woodcutter noticed. He quickly removed the spider web from his ankle, tied it to a nearby stump, and escaped at the last moment. The stump was violently dragged into the basin and disappeared. If the woodcutter had not transferred the web, it would have been him. The same story is also told at the Kashikabuchi Basin in Sendai. When the stump falls, a voice is heard. Clever, clever. Even today, at Kashikabuchi, the words Myoho Kumo no Rei, meaning sacred spider spirit, are inscribed on the stones. At Kashikabuchi, Joragumo was not only a monster, but was also worshipped as a spirit that protects against water disasters. Another woodcutter, someone completely unaware of this legend, dropped his favorite axe into the basin and was very distressed. At that moment, a beautiful woman emerged from the waterfall. She held out the axe and said, "Do not tell anyone about this." The woodcutter kept the secret for days, but one day, at a banquet drunk, he spilled the secret, felt relieved, and went to sleep. The next morning, they found the woodcutter dead. His body was wrapped in fine spider threads. He had broken his promise. In another account, the woodcutter fell in love with the waterfall woman. He visited every day, but each day he grew weaker. The priest of the nearby temple grew suspicious. He accompanied the woodcutter and chanted sutras. At that moment, a spider thread reached out. The priest let out a powerful shout. The thread instantly retracted. Joragumo was defeated, but only for that moment. But the woodcutter did not listen to the priest. He returned. He went to the mountain Tengu and asked for his permission. The Tengu refused. The woodcutter desperately ran toward the falls. Spider threads wrapped around him, and he was never seen again. After that day, the village people no longer dared to approach Joran Falls. That territory now belonged only to her. In the Taihei Hyakumonogatari, Joragumo traps a young warrior in a house, disguised as a beautiful woman playing biwa. She showed the baby she carried to the warrior and said, "That is your father. Go and embrace him. Come under his protection." But the warrior thought quickly and saw through the trap. He drew his sword and struck. Joragumo fled to the ceiling. The next day in the attic, they found a dead Joragumo, 1 to 2 shaku long, and the bodies of the many people she had devoured. In the Tonegusa story, Joragumo appears to Magoroku disguised as an elderly woman wanting to offer her daughter to him. At the mansion, a mysterious woman asked him to marry her, but Magoroku was already married and refused. Magoroku fled. As he ran, the house slowly disappeared behind him, and he found himself back on his own porch. His wife said he had slept on the veranda all night. He looked and saw the small spider web he had chased away 2 days before. That small spider was the one Magoroku had chased away 2 days before, and it had built that entire world just for him. Buddhist priests knew the most powerful method of protection against Joragumo. Chanting sutras would weaken her significantly. In all accounts, Joragumo preys only on young men. Her beauty is always her sharpest weapon in every single encounter. Joragumo can shift between beautiful woman and spider form at will. Which one is her true form is never known. In her dwelling area, the silk cocoons of past victims hang suspended. Each one is the end of a story. A powerful Joragumo can also command an army of small fire-breathing spiders, in addition to her other abilities. Victims usually realize what she is far too late, because beauty always precedes danger and completely blinds the senses. To protect against Joragumo, Buddhist sutras, sacred bells, and specific rituals were all considered effective measures. Villages would collectively hold protection ceremonies under the guidance of priests, because Joragumo was a threat to the whole community. The Joran Falls legend gradually spread to every corner of Japan, and each region developed its own unique version. In some versions, she lives in a waterfall, in others a forest, in others a city, but she is always beautiful and deadly. In the Neo video game, Joragumo appears as a boss character. Modern game art drew her even more terrifying than the legends suggest. In Demon Slayer, the Spider Demon Mother character is inspired by Joragumo. She controls her victims with web threads. The Black Maria character in One Piece is also inspired by Joragumo. Like a courtesan musician, she keeps men captive. The Rachna Kadaki in Monster Hunter Rise is also based on Joragumo. It is portrayed as a giant fire-breathing spider creature. In the 2012 anime Wasuranagumo, Joragumo is portrayed as an innocent child yokai, a beautiful summary of all the contradictions. In contemporary manga and anime, Joragumo has moved into modern urban settings, not a waterfall, but living in city darkness. Japanese children today learn this legend at school. The centuries-old story is still alive and continues to be passed on. And perhaps Joragumo is still among us, only now hiding not in waterfalls, but in the dark corners of the city. As we approach the end of this video, I leave a question that makes us truly think deeply about Joragumo. When you see beauty, pause, because the most dangerous thing always looks the most beautiful. This is a universal truth. Joragumo waits patiently. She weaves her web, and for everyone who falls into that web, their time has already come. Joran Falls is still there today, still the same mystical beauty, and still nobody gets too close to it. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the world's most dangerous and most fascinating legends. And Joragumo smiles slowly because you watched this video and you became curious. Perhaps you have already fallen into her web. Her true form is not beautiful, a giant spider with 8 legs, a dark body, and threads extending in every direction. And in an instant, she transforms back to the beautiful woman. So which is real? Perhaps both are real, perhaps neither. And she returns to the waterfall. She always returns, because she belongs there and nothing can ever separate her from it. The waterfall surface calms, but deep below, something is still moving. It has always been moving down there. The eyes glint above the mist. She is patient. She can wait, because even if centuries pass, she will always be there. Joran Falls can still be visited today. In Izu, Shizuoka, it is a real place, but be careful when you go. Juragumo, the most dangerous beauty of Japanese mythology. She is waiting for you, just patiently behind the waterfall mist.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
In 1995, in Puerto Rico, 8 sheep were found dead in a single night. Each had 3 puncture wounds in the chest. Within a short time, the same story spread across all of Latin America. The animals had their blood drained. Its name is chupacabra. In Spanish, it means goatsucker, and since 1995, it has been terrifying millions of people. When farmers found their animals dead, they saw that all of their blood had been completely drained, and they panicked. So, does this creature truly exist? Or is it the biggest collective panic of the 1990s? This video explains everything. But the story has 2 faces, a reptile in Puerto Rico, a dog in the USA. Both are called chupacabra. Chupacabra, the blood-sucking legend of Latin America, where fear became reality and the nightmare began. Let us now begin from the very start. Long before 1995, there was already a much older fear in Puerto Rico. In 1975, in the Puerto Rican town of Moca, animals were found dead, with mysterious circular incisions and blood loss. The press called it El Vampiro de Moca, the vampire of Moca. Satanic cult suspicions were also on the agenda. In a short time, the deaths spread across the entire island. Many farms began reporting serious losses of their animals. Latin America has a real vampire, the vampire bat. This animal truly does drink the blood of other animals. In Chile, there is a winged snake legend called Pushin that also drinks blood. All may be inspired by the vampire bat. 1995 was a very difficult period for Puerto Rico. A severe drought had made the entire island desperate and vulnerable. March 1995, 8 sheep, 3 puncture wounds on each chest, and no blood at all. This was the first official chupacabra attack. In August 1995 in Canovanas, Madeline Tolentino claimed she saw the creature. 150 animals were dead. The name chupacabra was coined by Puerto Rican comedian and radio DJ Silverio Perez. It was born from a joke. In a short time, reports reached every part of Latin America: Mexico, Brazil, Chile, Argentina, and many more countries. Tolentino described the creature in great detail: dorsal spines, gray-green skin, red eyes, hopping like a kangaroo. In 1995, a science fiction film called Species was released in cinemas. It featured an alien creature named Syl. When you place them side by side, the difference disappears. Dorsal spines, red eyes, posture, almost the exact same creature. Investigator Benjamin Radford spent 5 years finding this connection and published his book on it in 2011. Radford found the critical truth. Tolentino had already seen the Species film before she reported seeing the creature. Tolentino said, "It looked very much like Syl, with the spines on its back and everything. The resemblance was truly striking." Radford's conclusion was very clear. Tolentino believed the events from Species were actually happening in Puerto Rico. The media immediately covered chupacabra stories. Every newspaper, radio, and television was spreading the same fear. Psychological contagion began. Now everyone was seeing what one person had seen. The brain seeks what it recognizes and finds it. But the fear of the farmers was real. They were losing their animals. They were experiencing economic ruin. This was real. Puerto Rican veterinarian Dr. David Morales examined 300 reported victims. Not one had actually been drained of blood. Necropsy is the only true verification method, and no necropsy was ever able to prove that any animal had been drained of blood. In 2010, University of Michigan biologist Barry O'Connor reached a critical conclusion. They were all mange-infected coyotes. Mange disease makes a coyote completely unrecognizable. All fur falls off, skin thickens, and it looks entirely alien. A mange-infected coyote becomes very weak. It cannot catch normal prey and is forced to attack farm animals. 2 holes in the neck is normal predator behavior. All land carnivores catch and kill their prey in exactly this way. An interesting detail: Puerto Rico in 1995 and Mexico in 1996 were both experiencing severe droughts. Both had chupacabra panics. Drought makes wild animals desperate. Their natural prey decreases, and attacking farms becomes their only remaining option. All 7 autopsies in Radford's findings found animal DNA in the attacks. Not one showed any unknown creature whatsoever. Mexico's hairless dog, Xoloitz's quintal, has also frequently been reported as a chupacabra. Its appearance is truly strange. Chupacabra reports in northern Mexico and the southern United States were verified. They were all mange-infected coyotes. In a short time, reports spread across the entire continent. Each country began producing its own version of the chupacabra. The 2 chupacabras are completely different from each other. Puerto Rico reptilian, USA dog. Same name, different fear. Reports went beyond the Americas. From Maine to Chile and even Russia and the Philippines sent chupacabra reports. In the Philippines, there is a creature called sigbin. Its description is very similar to the chupacabra, a universal cross-cultural fear. In 2018, chupacabra reports came from Manipur State in India. Forensic experts found stray dogs to be responsible. In 2019, a video from Puerto Rico went viral, images of the aftermath of a chicken attack in Cebarquillo in Lares. Radford divided chupacabra reports into 2, Latin America blood category and USA dog category. Neither is the same. The descriptions varied wildly from each other, bat-like, dog-like, alien-like. It is impossible for all to be the same creature. In 1997, the X-Files series dedicated an episode to chupacabra. The El Mundo Gira episode introduced the legend to millions. In 2012, South Park mocked the chupacabra. The chupacabra episode showed the legend had fully entered popular culture. In 2014, Indigenous and 2023 Chupa films reinterpreted chupacabra, no longer just a monster, but a complex character. Chupacabra is today a brand. Figurines, games, t-shirts. The fear of 1995 quickly transformed into consumer products. Crane's TSN news channel did an interesting thing. When there was no real news, they would broadcast fake chupacabra stories. When investigators go into the field, they always find the same thing: mange coyote tracks and normal predator behavior. Science reached a definitive conclusion by 2010. All chupacabra reports in the USA consisted entirely of mange-diseased coyotes. But the original 1995 description from Puerto Rico still maintains its mystery. Was that reptilian-looking creature real? Mass hysteria is a real phenomenon. People begin to see what they fear, and these sightings feel completely real. The farmer genuinely saw something. Perhaps it was a mange coyote, but the fear he experienced in that moment was real and valid. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the world's most mysterious cryptid and legend stories. And the chupacabra is still out there, at least in the legend, and we all know very well that legends never truly die. Science has largely explained the chupacabra, but the place of every solved mystery is always taken by a new question. Puerto Rico's tropical nights are still dark, and in the darkness, every sound, every shadow can carry meaning. Chupacabra, the blood-sucking legend of Latin America. Science solved it, but the fear is still there, still alive. And perhaps the real chupacabra is human imagination itself, the fear that lives on the darkest night at the most remote farm. It is looking at you, and you are looking at it. This mutual gaze has been going on since 1995, and it does not end. The tropical forest calms, then suddenly a rustling comes, a shadow moves, and you can no longer be certain of anything. And the chupacabra returns to the darkness. It always returns, because legends outlive science every single time. 30 years have passed since 1995. Puerto Rico's farms are peaceful, but the legend is still being told to children. The mange coyote continues walking in the desert, no longer a monster, but seeing it is still deeply unsettling. One last look, red eyes, darkness, and then nothing. The chupacabra is gone, or perhaps it is not. Chupacabra, the goat sucker, the fear born in Latin America in 1995 that has never died, and it is still out there.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
In Bulgaria's Pirin Mountains, something mysterious happens every spring from midnight until the break of dawn. The forest nymph Samadiva dances, her feet barely touch the ground, and whoever sees her can never forget it. Her name is Samadiva, the most powerful and most dangerous forest nymph of Bulgarian and Slavic mythology. Her voice completely enchants a man. Travelers who hear her song follow her and never return again. But Samadiva is not alone. All her sisters gather in the mountains every midnight and dance together. But when you anger her, you encounter a very different face. She transforms into a giant fire-throwing bird. Samodiva, the wild forest nymph of the Pirin Mountains, the most dangerous and most enchanting legend of Bulgarian mythology. Let us now begin from the very start, from ancient Thrace, Slavic migrations, and the Bulgarian national revival. The deepest roots of the Samodiva legend reach back to ancient Thrace, to the cult of Orpheus and his maiden priestesses. Today, there are still Samadivsky Lakes in the Pirin Mountains, a real place named after the Samadiva. In the 6th and 7th centuries, Slavic tribes arrived in Balkan lands and merged with Thracian beliefs. The Greek historian Procopius wrote in the 6th century, the slaves were offering sacrifices to beings similar to Greek nymphs. The word Samadiva consists of two parts. Samo means alone and diva means wild and divine at the same time. The earliest written evidence of the Samadiva dates to the 13th century. Traces of Balkan tradition and ancient Slavic period appear together. The legend is so powerful it has been carved into the topography itself. Samadivsky Lakes in Pirin is the most beautiful proof. Samadivas descend to the human world only in spring. They stay until autumn and spend winter in Zmekovo. Zmekovo, the mythical village where Samadivas spend the winter, no human can reach it. It belongs only to them. Samadivas live inside ancient trees, in abandoned huts, or in caves near water sources in the mountains. Samadivas are normally invisible. Only those born on Christmas Eve or Orthodox Easter Saturday can see them. When autumn comes, Samadivas leave the forests. The mountains grow cold and the legend sleeps for a while. The dance begins at midnight and ends at dawn. The dance of the Samadivas is the raw energy of both nature and the supernatural. Travelers out late at night have witnessed this dance. They were drawn to the beauty and joined in. They were found dead at dawn. Samadiva steals all life energy from the man who falls in love with her. He becomes obsessed and slowly dies. Her voice drives a man completely mad. The man no longer eats, drinks, or thinks of anything else whatsoever. Sometimes she takes a shepherd or forest stranger as her lover. This relationship always ends with the man dying of exhaustion. But Samadiva is not only dangerous, she knows mountain plants and medicinal herbs better than anyone else. In folktales, the hero must secretly eavesdrop on a gathering of Samadivas to learn a cure for his sick loved one. Certain plants are identified with Samadivas. Euonymus elatus is healing only if gathered on the eve of Ascension Day. Samadiva's power comes from her hair. If her long, wild golden hair is cut, she either vanishes or loses all power. Sometimes she gives her lover a strand of her hair. This strand places him completely under the Samadiva's control. Samadiva's power lies not only in her hair, but also in her gown. Without that gown, she cannot fly and becomes powerless. The shepherd Ivalio stole Samadiva Marika's gown while she bathed, leaving her powerless and forcing her to marry him. 3 years later, they had a child. At the celebration, the godfather invited Marika to dance. She danced but looked faded. Marika said, "Without my gown, I cannot dance like that. I'm no longer myself. Half of me is missing." In the folk song, 3 Samadivas bathe, and a shepherd steals all gowns. He returns first, 2 and marries the 3rd. An angered Samadiva brings drought. She burns crops. She kills cattle with fever. A bad harvest is her doing. A shepherd who kills Samadiva's deer is rewarded with the most terrible death. Harm done to nature is unforgivable. Each Samadiva is guardian of a specific tree, animal, flower, or mountain stream. She is the watcher of nature. Samadiva can transform into a swan, wolf, snake, or falcon at will. Her only limit is the imagination itself. Sometimes she rides a stag with snake reins. She hunts as queen of the forest, and nothing can stand before her. The story of Kralj Marko, one of the most famous heroes of Slavic mythology, intersects deeply with the Samadiva. In one legend, the Samadiva named Vila found baby Kralj Marko in the forest and raised him with her own milk. Kralj Marko, who grew on Samadiva milk, gained supernatural powers. This milk took him far beyond any ordinary human. The Samadiva named Vita locked the 12 springs in the region and caused drought. Kralj Marko had to stop her. In this conflict, Kralj Marko defeated Vita, but the victory did not come easily. Samadiva had never been defeated before. Kaval master Dimo entered a music competition against Georgia Samadiva. The winner would take the loser for themselves. Dimo won. When Georgia Samadiva lost the musical battle, she was forced to go with him to his village. In another folk song, Samadiva kidnaps a musician and never gives him back. Her beauty selects her own victim. In North Macedonia, there is a tradition of Samavilski weddings. A passerby drinks wine and gives gold to the bride. According to Macedonian belief, Samadiva enters a man's heart and stays 5 years. Then she joins his soul and goes to heaven. In the 19th century, Bulgaria was under Ottoman rule. The people were seeking their freedom, and legends gave them strength. Hristo Botev, Bulgarian revolutionary and poet, born in 1848, fell in battle in 1876. His life lasted barely 30 years. 1868, Hadji Dimitar. He fought against Ottoman forces to free Bulgaria and was left dying on a mountain. In Botev's poem, Samadivas come to the side of the dying Hadji Dimitar. They sing, touch him, and comfort him. Botev wrote this poem in 1873. Samadivas were now not just forest nymphs, but symbols of Bulgarian courage and freedom. Samodiva now represented the bridge between the warrior protecting the land and the land for which he gave his life. In the 19th century, Bulgarian intellectuals collected these stories. Samodiva legend became a cornerstone of national identity. Harry Potter's villa was inspired by the Samodiva, beautiful, enchanting, putting men in a trance and turning into a bird when angry. In Harry Potter, Bulgaria came to the Quidditch World Cup with villa mascots. This was not a coincidence. The Bulgarian band Balkanji writes folk metal songs about Samodiva. The legend is alive in modern music. Today, Samodivski Lakes is a real tourism destination. The legend is engraved in the geography and continues to live. Samodiva is still a powerful figure in contemporary Bulgarian literature and art. The ancient spirit lives in modern forms. As we approach the end of this video, I want to ask a question that truly makes you think about the Samodiva. Samodiva punishes everyone who enters a forest disrespectfully, but what if we are entering nature disrespectfully ourselves? Perhaps Samodiva's real message is this: do not harm nature, do not pollute the forest, do not touch her animals. In the morning, a perfect ring remains in the grass where the dance took place on the mountain. This is called Samodiva's dance. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the world's most enchanting mythology and legend stories. And Samodiva continues to dance in the forests of Pirin every spring, from midnight until the break of dawn. And she looks at you one last time over her shoulder. She knows this encounter has changed you. It always changes. The clearing empties. Only that perfect ring in the grass remains. In the first light of morning, the leaves tremble again. And she returns to the mountain, to Pirin, to the lakes, to the trees. Her true home, a place no human can ever truly own. Pirin awoke to morning. The forest is peaceful. Birds are singing, as if knowing that Samodiva's dance is still continuing. Samodiva, a legend as old as the mountains, the wild spirit of the Bulgarian lands. And she is still there, still dancing. Samodivski Lakes can be visited today in Pirin Mountain, a real place, but if you stay late, be careful. Samodiva, wild and alone, divine and dangerous. The eyes of the Bulgarian forests, still watching, always watching.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
The Swiss Alps, the world's steepest and most mysterious mountains, and for centuries something has been hiding in these peaks. Its name is Tatzelwurm. In German it means clawed worm, and those who saw it could usually not live to tell the tale. A cat face, a serpent body, 2 front claws, no hind legs, and a venomous breath. This description has not changed for centuries. Swiss farmers and mountaineers reported seeing it for centuries, and no one took their fears seriously for a long time. It lives in rock crevices, caves, and mountain tunnels. It hibernates in winter. It emerges in spring, and that moment is very dangerous. Not only Switzerland, Austria, Bavaria, Italy, France, stories of the same creature were told throughout all the Alpine mountains. These mountains have been keeping a secret for centuries, and those who came face to face with it rarely returned. Let us begin from the very start, from a route through the Bavarian Alps that has been spreading fear since the 13th century. In the 13th century, pilgrims going to Birkenstein Chapel were being attacked by a mysterious creature on this mountain path. That mountain path was named Zum Tatzelwurm, that is, the road to the Tatzelwurm, a fear carved into the geography itself. In the 17th century, scientists began taking interest in this creature, and it entered the academic records. In 1660, Andreas Rodner encountered a creature on Wangserberg Mountain, cat face, 4 legs, and a tail 3 ells long. In 1680, Swiss naturalist Johann Jakob Wagner formally recorded the creature. This was the first scientific documentation. In 1723, Scheuchzer introduced this creature to a wide audience through copperplate illustrations in his famous book. The year 1779, Hans Fuchs, a Swiss Alpine farmer. One night he went outside when his pig was in distress. 2 Tatzelwurms stood before him. Hans Fuchs froze. He fled, and he suffered a heart attack before reaching home. Before dying, he told his family, 5 to 7 feet long, 2 front claws, and a large cat-like head. A family member painted the creature based on this description. This painting is one of the earliest visual records of the Tatzelwurm. In 1836, a Bavarian hunting manual featured an illustration of the Tatzelwurm, cigar-shaped, scaly, with tiny, stumpy legs. In 1841, the Swiss almanac Alpenrosen published the second important illustration, 2 small front legs, long and scaly. A Swiss farm girl cutting bean poles in the forest woke a young stolen worm. Nature issued yet another warning. Gray in color, arm length, body as thick as a cat, 2 round ears, and enormous eyes blazing bright like stars. In 1921, in Roris, Austria, 2 witnesses came face to face with the creature. The Tatzelwurm leaped 9 feet high at them. In 1924, near Hochfilzen, a group of hikers saw a creature resembling a heavy salamander, but with a distinctly feline face. 1929, an Austrian schoolmaster saw a pale white creature sprawled on rotting foliage inside the Tempelmauer cave. Flathead, 2 short atrophied-looking feet on the front body. Its length did not exceed 45 centimeters. Caspar Arnold was sitting in a mountain restaurant in Tyrol when he saw the Tatzelwurm through the window, the most unexpected place. In 1969, in Lengstein, Italy, an animal with 2 hind legs was seen inflating its neck. A lizard skeleton was found nearby. In 2009, cluster reports came from Tresivio, Italy. Escaped monitor lizards were blamed, but not all reports could be explained. 3 common traits across all testimonies: poisonous breath, a high-pitched whistle, and an aggressive lunge when threatened. Steinbach examined 85 stories in 1934. 40 were snake encounters, 5 were clear frauds. The rest were unknown. Theory: giant salamander. In Japan and China, giant salamanders reach 5 feet in length. Similar habitat compatibility. The European blind cave salamander olm bears surprising similarities to the 1929 Tempelmauer description: white, flat-headed, atrophied. Cryptozoologist Heuvelmans proposed the Gila monster theory, venomous, fat-tailed lizard that lives in rocky terrain. The Alps attract researchers every year. Rocky crevices, deep caves, unexplored corners are everywhere in these mountains. The cave systems of the Alps have still not been fully mapped, and there is room for unknown species in their depths. Some researchers suggested that the majority of sightings were encounters with otters or weasels misidentified in panic. Another theory: giant skink. Southern Europe is home to skink species. Some descriptions do fit this theory quite well. The year 1934, Swiss photographer Balkan was hiking near Meiringen when he noticed something peculiar on the ground. While photographing, the log moved and darted away. Balkan managed to fire the flash, and that photograph changed everything. The photograph was published. The image was not sharp, but showed a blunt-headed, scaly creature. Great excitement swept Europe. Germany's Berliner Illustrierte magazine organized a winter expedition. A team went to the Alps to find the Tatzelwurm. The expedition ended in failure. Nothing was found at all, and interest quickly faded, but the mystery did not end. Scientists examined the photograph. The creature was too rigid. It was determined to be a ceramic fish figurine, a hoax. Even more mysterious, someone anonymously donated a Tatzelwurm skeleton to the Geneva Institute of Science. There is only one photograph of the skeleton: a long, serpentine body, 2 short, clawed arms, and a head larger than normal. Nobody came forward. Law firm Gunterhaus refused all information. The skeleton was never found. The mystery remains complete. In 2000, a similar event occurred again. A university sent a mysterious skeleton along with a large financial donation. Steinbach's conclusion was clear: snakes, frauds, and ambiguous encounters. No clear evidence, but the stories do not stop. Belgian cryptozoologist Heuvelmans held a different view. Consistent descriptions across centuries pointed to a real animal. Since the mid-20th century, sighting reports have notably decreased. Perhaps it is becoming extinct or already is. German cryptozoologist Ulrich Magen continued documenting sightings in 40 Times and his own magazine Bilk. The Alpine terrain between 1 and 2,000 meters has still not been fully explored. There are too many hiding places. The legend continues to live in village storytelling nights and family conversations. It is passed on to every generation. An interesting parallel: in South Sweden, it was believed that a greedy person who died with hidden money became a small cat-headed dragon. An interesting parallel: in South Sweden, it was believed that a greedy person who died with hidden money became a small cat-headed dragon. In Alpine regions, the Tatzelwurm legend is used for tourism, museums, guided tours, and cryptid-themed merchandise. Tatzelwurm today lives in video games and fantasy literature as an Alpine dragon. The legend has moved into the digital age. All theories side by side: giant salamander, Gila monster relative, cave salamander, otter, skink, or pure legend. Despite being among the most intensively studied mountains in the world, the Alps still contain incompletely explored cave systems. And the Tatzelwurm is still out there, at least in the stories, and these stories have not been stopped for centuries. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the most mysterious cryptid and legend stories of Europe. It is looking at you with large cat eyes, and you're looking back at it. This mutual gaze has been going on for centuries. In Alpine villages, older people still cast careful glances at the rocky mountain slopes. The old fear has not fully ended, and it retreats back into the rocks. It always retreats, because these mountains are its own. They always have been, and always will be. These mountains have not changed for thousands of years, and neither has this mystery. Perhaps the answer is already hidden here. Tatzelworm, the clawed worm of the Alps. Real, legend, extinct. The answer is still somewhere out there in the mountains. Perhaps the next mountaineer will find the definitive evidence. Perhaps the next photograph will not be a fake. Perhaps. And the eyes blink slowly, patient, ancient, and still watching. Watching you, always watching. The cave is dark, silent, and perhaps something inside is waiting patiently, perhaps waiting for centuries already.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
In every corner of the Philippines, across 7,000 islands, something is waiting inside the earth. Very small, but very powerful. His name is Nuno Sapunso, the ancestral earth spirit of the Filipino people. He lives in anthills, tree roots, and rocks. If you anger a Nuno, he will curse you. You will fall ill. You will swell, and modern medicine cannot cure you. Then it disappears. It dissolves into the water. It leaves you following behind, on the shore or within. Survivors emerge with teeth marks on their necks, symptoms like rabies, but the opposite, they are irresistibly drawn to water. Sometimes in Germany it appears as a woman on the rocks of the Rhine River. With its song, it steers you into the reefs. Today we introduce you to the oldest and most respected earth spirit of the Philippines. His name is Nuno Sapunso. In pre-colonial Philippines, animism prevailed. Every tree, every stone, every mound had its own living spirit. The name Nixie comes from Proto-Germanic niquus, or niquus. Its Indo-European root means to wash. Then in the 16th century, the Spanish arrived, and the Nuno was transformed from a sacred ancestral spirit into a fearsome creature. Its most fundamental characteristic is shape-shifting. It can be a human, a horse, a snake, a fish, a treasure, or a floating object. Nuno Sapunso means word by word, the ancestor in the anthill, or the grandfather inside the termite mound. But to be honest, some historians believe this first game was actually Botsamari, a different game played using a cane. In Filipino villages, every grandmother teaches children about the Nuno. This knowledge is passed down from generation to generation. In some versions, Iyara's tail belongs to a pink river dolphin, and she carries a blowhole on her neck. In Filipino culture, before approaching an anthill or large tree, you are obligated to say the following: Tabi-tabi po. Tabi-tabi po literally means, please move aside. In other words, you are telling the Nuno that you are passing through. But not every Nixie is dangerous. In many accounts, it is entirely harmless. It enchants both women and men only with its music. Be home before 6 in the evening. Make no noise near where the Nuno dwells. These rules are still observed today. If a tree is to be cut or land cleared, permission must be asked from the Nuno. This respect is still valid for modern Filipinos. But some people deliberately show disrespect. Urinating on an anthill is considered the greatest possible insult to the Nuno. A few hours after kicking the anthill, the foot swells up. This is not a coincidence. This is the punishment of the Nuno. The Nuno spits to cast his curse. If the person is close enough, his invisible spit strikes any part of the body. The Nuno's curse symptoms are very varied: swelling, vomiting blood, urinating black liquid, excessive hair growth on the back. In Scandinavia, water lilies are known today as Nuckaroser or Necrosor. It means Nixie roses. According to Scandinavian belief, swimmers would throw a piece of steel into the water to protect themselves against the Nixie. Every 9 years, Athens would send 7 young men and 7 young maidens to Crete as sacrificial victims for the Minotaur. The Albulario performs the Pagtatawas ritual. Melted candle wax is poured into a water-filled basin, forming shapes. The shapes are interpreted. The Albulario understands the cause of the illness and where the Nuno was angered from these shapes. The family brings offerings to the anthill: fruit, food, drink, and valuable objects. The Nuno may accept these offerings. Kamari even found its way into Japan's greatest work of literature, Murasaki Shikibu's The Tale of Genji. In very serious cases, it may be necessary to sacrifice a white chicken. This is the last resort and is done meticulously. If the Nuno's forgiveness is not obtained, evil spirits permanently settle inside the person. The final stage is madness. As villages turn into cities, the Nuno descends deeper into the earth, or dies. Modernization is destroying him. The Nuno is not merely a cursing creature. He is the protector of the earth and powerfully represents respect for the environment. In Filipino belief, anthill mounds are portals to the underworld. They are sacred. They must not be disturbed. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe wrote the poem Der Fischer in 1779, the story of a fisherman lured into the water by a nix. But in the Edo period, Kamari was reborn, this time among the merchant and townspeople class in Kansai. Even today, in Manila, a Filipino passing near a large tree or unusual mound will still say, "Tabi, tabi po." Philippine cinema and television give the Nuno plenty of space, sometimes as horror, sometimes as comedy. In Richard Wagner's Ring Cycle, the Rhine Maidens are the most artistic interpretation of the Nyx. In Das Rheingold, they guard the gold. On Philippine construction projects, permission is still requested from the Nuno before breaking ground. Architecture meets belief. Every Filipino child grows up with "tabi tabi po." This is not merely a phrase, but the summary of an entire life philosophy. As we approach the end of this video, I want to ask a question that truly makes us think deeply about the Nuno Sapunsa. Every year on January 4th, the Kamari Hajime Festival is held at Shimogamo Shrine in Kyoto. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling you about the world's oldest and most elegant sports. Don't forget to subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the most mysterious mythology and folklore stories of Asia. Ariadne woke. There was no ship. There was no Theseus. She had betrayed her own people. And now she had nowhere at all. An anthill that nobody disturbs is at peace, and that peace spreads to everything around it. This balance is everything. With the right gift, Fosgrim teaches violin so powerfully that trees dance, waterfalls stop, and the eyes of the blind open. The world is changing, cities are growing, but the Nuno waits patiently, and as long as the mounds stand, so will he. The Black Sail. Theseus is dead. Aegeus reached this conclusion, and he threw himself into the... And that tiny old man looks at you one final time. His message is simple. Show respect, ask permission, and tread lightly. And he returns inside. He always returns, because he belongs to this earth, and this earth belongs to him, always. Nuno Sapunso, the ancestor in the anthill, in the same place for 5,000 years, with the same patience, and still there.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
In Latvia, in the 18th century, some farmers were suddenly becoming very wealthy. Nobody dared to ask why. In the darkness of the night, a ball of fire would streak across the sky. People called it a meteorite, but it was not. This fireball would land at a farmhouse, and from its tail it would pour gold, grain, and food. Every night, without stopping. The locked room would overflow every morning, and that farmer would grow richer, but the neighbors' barns emptied each morning. The master would count the gold and wallow in his wealth, but deep inside he knew this would come with a heavy price. His name is Pukas, the treasure dragon of Latvia. He brings wealth, but the price is your soul and the end of your life. Today, we introduce you to Latvia's most mysterious and most dangerous household spirit. His name is Pukas, the treasure dragon. Let us begin from the very start, hundreds of years back, to the very root of this legend from the deepest Latvian forests. In pre-Christian Latvia, everything had a spirit. Forests, rivers, the sky, and every spirit had its own purpose. When the Baltic people saw meteors falling, they could not explain it as a natural event. This was the Pukis. The etymology of the word Pukas is disputed. It may be connected to the Proto-Baltic word puk, meaning spirit or puff. The Pukis is not alone. In Estonia, Puk. In Finland, Paris. In Lithuania, Aitvaras. All are the same creature. This belief had spread across the entire Baltic region. It was the product of a shared cultural memory, and it was very ancient. In Lithuania, the same spirit bears the name Aitvaras, a rooster indoors, a dragon outdoors, identical to the Pukis. According to Lithuanian belief, the Aitvaras hatches from the egg of a 9 to 15-year-old rooster. Such an egg is very rare. Finland's paraspirit invisibly milks the neighbor's cows and brings the milk to its master. The same logic. Estonia's Puk also flies as a fireball and brings gold, the strongest shared point of Baltic cultural memory. References to the Pukis are found in Latvia's famous Dainas folk songs. The songs kept this belief alive for centuries. In the 19th century, Latvian ethnographers recorded these legends. Without that, most of them would have been lost. Today in Latvian, the word Pukas means both dragon and kite. The legend has been carved into the language. Its most common form is a flying fireball, red, orange, and gold flames. It leaves a trail across the sky like a meteor. In another form, it resembles a long, scaly serpent. It breathes fire from its mouth and glides, illuminating the night. Indoors, it looks small and innocent, like a rooster. But if a stranger sees it, the Pukis immediately flees. Its true form is a multi-headed fire-breathing dragon. Whoever sees this form understands its full power for the first time. The Pukis is a shapeshifter, fireball, serpent, rooster, dragon. Which form it will choose cannot be known. In Latvia, every night a meteor fell, it was thought that someone's Pukis was going to steal treasure or returning with it. There were 3 ways to obtain a Pukis: to buy one, to breed one, or to steal one from another master through magic. It was possible to buy a pukis, but who would be the seller, and what would the price really be? Or you could make a pact with the devil. You would sell your soul, and in return the devil would give you a pukis. The breeding path was longer. You search years for a rooster egg. You find one. You incubate it with your own body heat. Through magic, you could tie down a pukis from another master. In other words, you could steal it. This was the most dangerous path. The pukis was kept in a separate room behind a sturdily locked door. No one else was allowed to enter that room. At every meal, the pukis was fed first, before the master, before the family. This rule was never broken. Food alone was not enough. The pukis also demanded blood. The master would regularly offer his own blood. In extreme cases, even human sacrifice might be required. The price of wealth was now going to a much darker place. But if respect diminishes, the pukis senses it. Its eyes turn red, and that redness is the final warning. A pukis that does not receive respect burns the house down. Everything, including the accumulated wealth. Then it leaves. If a stranger sees it, the pukis flees immediately, and the master loses everything accumulated over many years. The pukis flies to the neighbor's farm every night. It is invisible. It siphons grain, gold, and food, bringing it to its master. The neighbor's grain decreases every morning. His cattle grow thin. His family goes hungry, and he cannot understand why. The pukas's tail forms like a sack. It fills it with gold, grain, and food and brings it home. Gossip spreads in the village. How did that man become so wealthy? Everyone suspects, but nobody can say anything. Sometimes the pukis brings recognizable things. The neighbor's ring, their silver fork, and this puts the master in a difficult position. The master is constantly forced to lie. He cannot explain where it came from, and these lies accumulate. The people knew a secret. A barn that is always full when neighbors are suffering shortage is the sign of a pukis. As years pass, the master grows weaker. The pukis demands more. Blood flows more often, and the soul begins to darken. The master of the pukis always dies in pain. There is no peaceful end. This is the heaviest clause of the contract. And his soul is damned for eternity. There is no absolution, no redemption. Was the wealth worth this price? There was only one known way to kill the pukis, a silver bullet. It was expensive, hard to find, but it worked. According to Lithuanian belief, the Aitvaras becomes a spark when it dies. The same holds true for the pukis. In Latvian mythology, Kurbads is considered the Hercules of the nation. He battles all evil, including the pukis. Kurbads battles the multi-headed pukis. This battle is the clash of order and chaos, of goodness and greed. In some tales, the pukis speaks. It negotiates with people, it threatens, and sometimes it says something very wise. When a neighbor becomes wealthy, the pukis immediately comes to mind. This belief fed distrust and jealousy in communities. If multiple fireballs were seen on the same night, it was thought that two pukis masters were competing over wealth. Today in a Latvian toy shop, you will see the word pukis. Now it means kite, but its roots run very deep. The Latvian National Museum features the pukis legend, preserved as cultural heritage and passed on to new generations. In modern Latvian literature, when a writer wants to describe a meteor shower, they still use the pukis metaphor. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the most mysterious legends of the Baltic and Northern Europe. The pukis is still out there, at least inside every newly fallen meteor, and in the eyes of every newly wealthy neighbor. As we approach the end of this video, I want to ask you one question. What would you do if the pukis offered you wealth? The master sits surrounded by gold. He is wealthy, but he is hollow inside, and he knows this gold has a price. And perhaps the most dangerous pukis is the one with no master, free, wild, and completely uncontrollable. Latvia's birch forests look peaceful at night, but every streak of light in the sky could be a pukis. And the fireball streaks across the night sky one final time. It lands at a farm, delivers its treasure, and waits. The barn door is locked. A flickering light seeps under the door, and inside something is patiently waiting. The eyes glow in the darkness. It is patient, it waits for its master, and one day it finds a new master. It always does. Dawn breaks. The farm is peaceful, but the barn door is still locked, and light still seeps from underneath it. Pukis, Latvia's treasure dragon, it promises wealth, and it demands the heaviest price, and it is still out there. And you see a streak of light in the sky. Did you say meteorite? Perhaps. Or perhaps someone's pukis is at work again.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
14th century Korea, the Goryeo dynasty, and the people were so desperate that they were praying for a miracle. And the miracle came, but not in the way anyone expected, as an iron-eating, impossible-to-kill monster. Its name is Bulgasari, Korea's iron-eating legend. Body of a bear, trunk of an elephant, eyes of a rhinoceros, claws of a tiger. If you throw a sword, it eats the sword and grows. If you shoot an arrow, it eats the arrow and grows. Everything you give to kill it makes it stronger. And throughout this video, we will ask the most important question together: where does the line between savior and monster end? But everything began very small, in the palm of a monk, from grains of rice, and from a single needle. Today we tell you Korea's most powerful and most dangerous legend. Its name is Bulgasari, the one impossible to kill. Let us begin from the very start, to 14th century Korea, to the darkest period of the Goryeo dynasty. In the late Goryeo period, military dictators ruled the country. Buddhism had been declared illegal. Monks were fleeing. Soldiers raided the temples. Monks were being caught, and being caught meant death. A monk was hiding at his sister's house, but his sister was thinking of turning him in for the reward money. But the husband heard this. He killed the sister and freed the monk. Loyalty defeated greed. The monk sat in the darkness. He was overcome with grief and anger, and he began to create something small from rice grains. He shaped a tiny monster figure. He prayed over it, and he poured all his hatred and hope into it. And the figure moved. It opened its eyes. It swallowed a needle, and it began to grow. Everything was beginning. It ate scissors, it ate knives, it ate coins, and with each thing it swallowed, it grew just a little bit bigger. When bandits attacked the monk released Bulgasari, it was dog-sized. It ate their swords. The bandits fled. But Bulgasari did not stop. The monk's savior had now become a curse. Creating something always carries a risk. Over time, Bulgasari reached an enormous size. It was now eating the farmers' agricultural tools and ruining them. The villagers had no scissors, knives, or pots left. Bulgasari had eaten everything. The savior was now the enemy. The government sent soldiers with swords and arrows, thinking, "We will kill this thing." But they were wrong. They threw swords. It ate and grew. They threw more swords. It ate more and grew more. Arrows did not work either. It caught them mid-air and ate them. Every weapon was making it stronger. This could not be fought. The commanders resorted to the last option, fire. They said, "Metal melts in fire. This will melt it too." They were wrong again. The fire had no effect at all. Bulgasari did not burn, but now it was angry and it carried the fire. Disaster was beginning. Bulgasari took the fire and carried it to a village. The village burned. The thing meant to be the savior was now burning innocents. The first written record of this legend appears in the Songnam Japji book, written during the Joseon dynasty period. Bulgasari in Korean means impossible to kill, but written differently it means can be killed by fire, a perfect paradox. In the legend, Bulgasari is most often portrayed as a hero. It fights against oppression. It punishes the wicked. Villagers saw it as a protector, a defender, the power standing beside the powerless, at least in the beginning. But after a while, it began eating the tools of the very villagers it had protected. The savior was now threatening those it had saved. Academics interpret this legend as political satire. Eating metal represents the desire to end war and militarism. The most powerful message of this legend is this: the more weapons you produce, the stronger the Bulgasari becomes. The legend has two different endings. In one version, it still lives in Korean forests. In the other, monks stopped it. In some versions, the powerful prayers of monks weakened the Bulgasari, and they eventually managed to stop it. Bulgasari was also carved onto walls, chimneys, pillars, and railings as a protective symbol. Bulgasari protects against nightmares, evil spirits, and malevolent beings. It prevents plagues and natural disasters. In Korean traditional architecture, Bulgasari figures have frequently been used for protective purposes. Today, Bulgasari sculptures are preserved and displayed as cultural heritage in Korea's national museums. Bulgasari is compared with the Chinese mythology creature Taotia of insatiable hunger. Both represent unstoppable appetite. The Bulgasari's birth from resentment and injustice parallels the Onryo vengeful spirits of Japanese mythology. In 1962, a film called Bulgasari was made in South Korea, Korea's first film in the kaiju genre, but now it is lost. Kim Jong-il had a secret collection of over 15,000 films. He was obsessively interested in cinema. He was a fan of Toho's Godzilla, and he wanted North Korea to make its own kaiju film. This is how Bulgasari was born. 1978, Hong Kong. Shin Sang-ok, one of South Korea's most famous film directors, was walking down the street. First, his wife Choi Eun-hee was kidnapped. She was lured to Hong Kong with a fake film offer and taken to North Korea. Shin went to search for his wife. He was chloroformed in Hong Kong and taken to North Korea, and he disappeared for years. He tried to escape. He was imprisoned. He ate grass, salt, rice, and corn flour for 4 years, and he survived. Kim Jong-il met with them, offered millions, and said, "I want you to say that you came here voluntarily." Shin made 7 films. Bulgasari was the most famous. Toho's special effects team came thinking they were filming in China. The production was enormous, 13,000 extras. Kenpachiro Satsuma, who played Godzilla, put on the Bulgasari costume. The film was officially made to criticize capitalism. Bulgasari initially helps, but eventually destroys the people. But viewers saw something else, that Bulgasari represented the Kim regime itself, a savior turning into an oppressor. 1986, Vienna Film Festival, Shin and Choi, with the help of a friend, managed to lose their minder and escape. And they handed over the secret recordings. 8 years of captivity as evidence. Kim Jong-il's voice on tape. Kim Jong-il furiously pulled the film from theaters. For 10 years, Bulgasari was not shown anywhere. In the late 1990s, the film became watchable again, and fans from all corners of the world discovered it. Today, Bulgasari continues to live as a powerful symbol in Korean games, dramas, and literature. Today, Bulgasari can be a metaphor for very different things: social media, artificial intelligence, uncontrolled growth. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the most powerful mythology and legend stories of East Asia. As we reach the end, I ask the most important question again: is Bulgasari a hero or a monster? When it eats the oppressor's weapons, it is a hero. When it eats the farmer's tools with the same mouth, it is a monster. Both are the same being. After escaping, Shin went to Hollywood, and there he wrote a medieval European version of Bulgasari called Galgameth. Shin said, "What a wretched fate. I hated communism but had to appear devoted to it in order to escape." And Bulgasari continues to grow because humans continue to produce weapons, and it continues to eat those weapons. This legend's message was spoken centuries ago, but is still valid today. Arming yourself grows the monster. Bulgasari looks at you one final time, and it asks the question it has been asking for 7 centuries: hero or monster? And it turns and walks away into the mountains, into the depths of the forests, because this question can never be fully answered. But in the carving on the palace wall, it is still there, eyes open, continuing to stand guard. Modern Korea continues to keep this legend alive in museums, schools, and popular culture. Bulgasari, Korea's unkillable monster, a 7th-century-old question, and one answer: not weapons, but their absence. In a world without weapons, what does Bulgasari eat? A Bulgasari that can find nothing to eat, cannot grow, and cannot cause harm. And it returns to the beginning, the tiny creature in the monk's palm, one needle, and everything is about to start again. And the tiny eyes look at you, innocent, having eaten nothing yet, but capable of everything. Bulgasari, the legend born from grains of rice, the iron-eating power, and the question unanswered for 7 centuries.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
The Amazon, the world's largest river system, and within these waters something very dangerous has been living for centuries. Her name is Iara. Brazilians call her Mãe das Águas, Mother of the Waters, and her voice drives people to madness. The Tupi people described her this way: brown-skinned, black-haired, dark-eyed. She was the true daughter of the Amazon River. Men who hear her song throw themselves into the water, some drown. Those who survive are never the same again. Survivors emerge with teeth marks on their necks, symptoms like rabies, but the opposite, they are irresistibly drawn to water. Throughout this video, we will explore Iara's true identity and reveal the surprising truths that lie behind this ancient legend. Today we tell you Brazil's most powerful and most enchanting legend. Her name is Iara, the Mother of the Waters. Let us begin from the very start, back to this legend that existed long before European ships reached the Amazon. The Tupi and Guarani people lived along the Amazon for centuries. The river was everything to them, and the river had a spirit. The word Iara comes from the Ngatu language. It consists of 2 words, I meaning water and Yara meaning lord or lady. But at the root of Iara, there is a very different creature, the Ipupiara, male, carnivorous, a terrifying fishman. When the Portuguese reached the Amazon, they encountered the Ipupiara legend, and they mixed it with their own mermaid myths. 3 very different cultures came together in one place: the indigenous Ipupiara, Europe's siren, and Africa's Imanja, and Iara was born from them. João Barbosa Rodrigues wrote in 1881, the original Iara must have had black hair, dark eyes, and brown skin. In some versions, Iara's tail belongs to a pink river dolphin, and she carries a blowhole on her neck. In the 1969 film Mesoamerican, the hero embraces Iara and realizes too late he sees the blowhole on her neck. He dies. There are 3 different accounts of her tail: a fish tail, a pink dolphin tail, and a manatee tail. According to the legend, Iara was a very talented warrior. No one in her tribe could fight as well as she could. But her brothers grew deeply jealous of her skills. Losing their father's attention and admiration to a woman had profoundly disturbed them both. They attacked her in the forest at night, but Iara was a trained warrior. She defended herself and accidentally killed them both. When her father found out he sent soldiers, Iara fled into the forest, but she was caught and she was punished. Her punishment was to be thrown into the river. She sank down. Everything changed in that moment. The fish saved her. It was a night of full moon. Fish surrounded her, and Iyara transformed into a mermaid, both powerful and immortal. And she rose from the river. She was no longer mortal, and she decided to take revenge on all men. In another version of the story, the brothers killed her directly and then blamed her mysterious disappearance on the moon goddess Chasi. At sunset, she sings. Her voice spreads over the waters, and the man who hears her cannot stop himself. In some versions, she takes the man to her underwater home. She meets his needs, but the man grows old and dies there. Iyara is immortal, but her lovers age and die, and she is always left alone. This is her true curse. Survivors emerge with teeth marks on their necks, and they now constantly feel the urge to run back to the water. Barbosa Rodriguez described it this way, like rabies, but the exact opposite. Not fear of water, but attraction to water. Even passing through Iyara's territory alone brings danger, melancholy, nervousness, and symptoms that others around you perceive as madness. In the 1873 recorded Manaus version, a young chieftain's son encounters Iyara at Tarama Falls and returns every day. His mother begged. She offered to move the whole village, but the son did not listen. One day he went and never returned. But in the 19th century, Iyara's physical appearance changed in a very dramatic way, and this particular change was absolutely not a coincidence. Gonçalves Diaz in 1851 wrote of golden hair, Alencar wrote green hair, Cassiano Ricardo wrote blonde and green-eyed. Scholar Cumara Cascudo carefully determined that the blonde, blue-eyed image of Iyara simply does not appear in any record before the mid-19th century. Colonial aesthetics systematically Europeanized indigenous beauty across the entire continent. This happened not only to Iyara, but to all of Brazilian culture. There is a real incident on record. A researcher's blonde, blue-eyed wife bathed in a creek, and the nearby natives all shouted, "Uyara!" Today in Brazil, there is a debate. Should Iyara be restored to her original dark-skinned appearance? This is an important question. The 1880s, Belém, Brazil. A man named Januario Marinho was found dead in the water. His fiancée blamed Iyara. His fiancée told the man regularly visited that canal. One day he returned disturbed. He admitted he had seen Iyara. A German friend accompanied him to the canal with a rifle. He was attacked and fainted. Then he seemed mentally disturbed. Santana Neri was suspicious about the account. He stated clearly that the story may have been used to cover up a murder. Historically, the Iyara legend served a very practical purpose in communities. It explained men who vanished alone into the vast Amazon. The Imanja of Yoruba religion gradually became mixed with Iyara over many generations of time. Two cultures, two water goddesses sharing one river. Yemenja was the ocean goddess, Iyara the river, but over centuries they became intertwined. The boundary between them is now blurred. The pink Amazon River dolphin known as the Boto may be the original real source behind Iyara, and this animal truly exists. Boto folklore says, at night it transforms into an attractive human, seduces people, and returns to the river at dawn. The Boto has a blowhole on its head, Iyara's blowhole on her neck. Is this connection conscious or unconscious? The Boto is a remarkable animal, intelligent, social, and able to swim backwards. It is without doubt the Amazon's most mysterious creature. In a well-known Brazilian streaming series, the protagonist encounters Iyara in the Amazon and learns her own tragic story from her. In the 2020s, Iyara was reinterpreted as both warrior and mermaid. She emerged as a powerful feminine archetype. The Brazilian indigenous rights movement reclaimed Iyara, repositioning the strong Tupi warrior as a meaningful symbol of resistance and indigenous pride. Iyara is today a very popular female name in Brazil, Lady of the Waters. The legend lives on in the name. Iyara can be compared with Greek sirens, Rhine maidens, and water spirits from every corner of the world, a universal archetype. As we approach the end of this video, I want to ask you a question that truly makes you think about Iyara. There was a strong woman, a skilled warrior, the best in her tribe, and that is why they wanted her dead. Iyara is both a victim and monster. She kills for her own justice, and this makes her both sympathized with and feared. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the most powerful legends of Latin America and the Southern Hemisphere. And at night, she sings to the empty river. She is immortal, but she is alone. This is her real story. When she looks at her reflection, what does she see? The strong warrior or the mermaid condemned for revenge? The Amazon has been flowing here unchanged for thousands of years, and Iyara has always been there too, ancient as the river itself. Which Iyara is truly the real one? The brown-skinned Tupi warrior, the blonde colonial image, or the mysterious pink river dolphin? Perhaps the answer is this: all of them are real. Iyara is such a deep legend that no single form can contain her. And she returns beneath the water. She always returns, because the river is always there, and so is Iyara. The Amazon surface looks peaceful at night, but beneath it, everything is intensely alive. And Iyara is always there too. The pink boat continues swimming through the golden sunset light on the river, real, beautiful, and every bit as mysterious as Iyara. The eyes glint just above the surface. They are watching you, as she has waited for centuries, and she continues to wait. The Amazon, the world's largest river, Iyara's home, and this legend will live for as long as this river flows. Iyara, mother of the waters, warrior of the Tupi, the eye of the Amazon, and the most beautiful warning told for centuries. Dawn breaks slowly over the great river. A new day arrives, but Iyara is still beneath the dark water, preparing to sing. And she rises. She sits on the rocks, she combs her hair, and she begins to wait. Like this every day. The Amazon forest wakes at dawn. Birds, animals, the river, all the world that Iyara protects and loves. And her voice comes from afar, at dawn, across the Amazon, beautiful, dangerous, and an invitation always open. The Amazon, endless, deep, and magnificently alive. So is Iyara, endless, deep, always present here, and always will be.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
In the northernmost tip of South Africa, there is a desert, one of the most remote and harshest corners of the world, and something hides beneath. They are called Huldefolk, the hidden folk, and what will shock you is that they look almost exactly like you. Her name is Samodiva, the most powerful and most dangerous forest nymph of Bulgarian and Slavic mythology. And whenever they wish, they become completely invisible, entirely, before your very eyes, without leaving any trace. In 1917, Oxford-educated English businessman Peter Grayson said, "I will return either very rich or dead." He was never. In a modern survey, 45% of Icelanders consider it possible or likely that the Huldefolk actually exist. Today, we tell you South Africa's most ancient and most dangerous legend. Its name is Grootslang, the guardian of the diamond. Let us now begin from the very start, from that very ancient time when Viking ships first approached Iceland's shores. In the 9th century, Norwegian Vikings reached Iceland, and the landscape they saw both fascinated and terrified them. The Norse brought their Alfar elf beliefs, the Irish slaves brought their hill fairy beliefs. The two merged in Iceland. In the 6th and 7th centuries, Slavic tribes arrived in Balkan lands and merged with Thracian beliefs. Iceland is a country filled with earthquakes, volcanoes, and avalanches. These unpredictable forces had to have an owner. Scholar Benedicts writes, "These volcanic rock formations, shaped into ferocious, alarming shapes, draw the imagination to them." In the legend, the cave connects to the Orange River through underground tunnels. The diamonds slowly mix into the river current. The legend is so powerful it has been carved into the topography itself. Samodivski Lakes in Pirene is the most beautiful proof. Arne Björnsson found that belief in Huldefolk was strongest during Iceland's most difficult periods in the 17th and 18th centuries. The Sand people say this: the Grootslang is eternal. It will guard its treasure for as long as the world exists. This promise has never been broken. Samodivas live inside ancient trees, in abandoned huts, or in caves near water sources in the mountains. Samodivas are normally invisible. Only those born on Christmas Eve or Orthodox Easter Saturday can see them. In indigenous folklore, two white men are said to have descended into the cave for stones that sparkled like fire. Neither could get them out. God said, "What man hides from me, I will hide from man." Those children and their descendants became the Huldefolk. Second story, angels who took no side in the devil's revolt were expelled from heaven. They went to neither hell nor heaven. These angels were forced to live in mounds, rocks, and mountains, and they are unable to live together with other people. Her voice drives a man completely mad. The man no longer eats, drinks, or thinks of anything else whatsoever. Three origin stories coexist together. This is the finest example of how Christianity merged with old Viking beliefs in Iceland. The Huldefolk wear 19th century Icelandic clothing, often green, and they will almost convince you they are human. On the very first night in camp, a lion attacked the party. One member died. One was seriously injured. This was only the beginning. In the Faroe Islands version, they are large built, wear gray clothes, and have black hair. They live in mounds and are also called elves. Samodiva's power comes from her hair. If her long, wild golden hair is cut, she either vanishes or loses all power. An old Icelandic warning: do not throw stones carelessly, because you may hit the Huldefolk. They are there, just invisible. The Huldefolk also appear in the dreams of Icelanders, and every time wearing the same clothing, 19th century Icelandic traditional dress. The shepherd Ivalio stole Samadiva Marika's gown while she bathed, leaving her powerless and forcing her to marry him. On New Year's Eve, the Huldufolk move to new homes, and Icelanders leave candles for them to help them find their way. The Christmas custom goes like this: clean the house and leave food outside for the Huldufolk. This tradition still continues. If you sit at a crossroads on Midsummer Night, the Huldufolk will try to seduce you with food and gifts. South Africa's African rock python is genuinely one of the world's largest snakes, but the Groot slang accounts go far beyond even this. In many folk tales, the Huldufolk raid farmhouses at Christmas, and when people retreat, they party until morning. In some tales, a Huldufolk and a human come together and have children. These children are born with supernatural gifts. Aukerby's Falls is where the Orange River plunges 56 meters down. The pool below is dark and deep, and according to legend, it is full of diamonds. In the legend, the Groot slang lies coiled at the bottom of this dark pool. It surrounds its gold and jewels. Above it, the water thunders. In the early 20th century, South African prospectors looked at this pool with diamond-seeking eyes. What was beneath the current? A road construction project in Iceland stopped. The reason? The lava rock in front of them is known to be a Huldufolk home. Crowley Marco, who grew on Samadiva milk, gained supernatural powers. This milk took him far beyond any ordinary human. In the end, the road was rerouted. The rock was not disturbed. This was a real decision made by a modern country. In 2001, Carol Rose described the Groot slang as being as big as an elephant in her Encyclopedia Giants Monsters and Dragons. Important note, according to Wikipedia, 21st century media added a trunk and elephant tusks to the Groot slang. These are not in the original Groot slang is purely a serpent. It has no elephant features. This is a misconception created by the merging of separate legends. In the 2006 survey, 50% of participants said they saw no difference at all between elves and the Huldufolk. In modern surveys, 7 to 8% of Icelanders are absolutely certain about elves. 45% consider it possible. According to Macedonian belief, Samadiva enters a man's heart and stays 5 years. Then she joins his soul and goes to heaven. Arnie Björnsson says, these surveys are exaggerated. Belief in Huldufolk is not that serious, but it is not entirely false either. According to an anthropologist in the 19th century, it was mostly women who told Huldufolk stories, and the reasons were social. Today, the Nama and Kuko people living in the Richtersveld continue to carry this legend. This is a matter of deep cultural memory. Diamond mining companies operating in the Richtersveld work under extreme secrecy. What happens in this region does not reach the public. The city of Hafnarfjordur is considered the elf capital of Europe. Elf colonies are mapped and guided tours are available. The Icelandic tourism industry uses Huldufolk as an attraction, and this benefits both the tourists and the Icelanders. In the 19th century, Bulgarian intellectuals collected these stories. Samadiva legend became a cornerstone of national identity. Strmiska has a wonderful expression. Huldufolk are not supernatural, but ultranatural. Profound reverence for nature itself. As we approach the end of this video, I want to ask you a question that truly makes you think about the Huldufolk. The Bulgarian band Balkanji writes folk metal songs about Samadiva. The legend is alive in modern music. Aukerby's Falls still exists today. The King George Cataract still falls with the same thunder. The pool is still dark, and Samadiva is still a powerful figure in contemporary Bulgarian literature and art. The ancient spirit lives in modern forms. That rerouted road is a very powerful and important metaphor for humanity. It says not conquering, but deeply respecting nature. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the deepest stories of Northern European and Scandinavian mythology. And the Huldufolk dance beneath the northern lights. Every winter, every new year, and Icelanders leave candles for them. Groot slang, the great serpent of the Orange River, the guardian of the diamonds, the eternal secret of the Richtersveld, and still there. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the world's most enchanting mythology and legend stories. And she slowly disappears. She merges into the lava rocks. She returns to her own world. She always returns. Black rocks and green moss, two worlds side by side, two peoples together. And it has always been this way. Huldufolk, as old as Iceland itself. And as long as Iceland exists, so will they. Visible or invisible. And a new day begins. Iceland wakes. And the Huldufolk are invisible, but they are there. Always there. In a world without weapons, what does Bulgasari eat? A Bulgasari that can find nothing to eat, cannot grow, and cannot cause harm. And it completely disappears. It merges into the darkness, together with its diamonds, silently. Always like this. It will end the sunsets. Over Iceland, over the volcanic landscape, and two worlds watch this sunset together. Huldufolk, Iceland's hidden folk, right beside us, just invisible. And perhaps it will always be this way.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
There is a match played 3,000 years ago where the head of a decapitated player was used as the ball and where the winners became immortal. For thousands of years, indigenous people gave it many different names. Today, the world knows it as the Yowie. His name is Xbalanque. It means jaguar son. He has jaguar patches on his skin, and he is just as dangerous as his brother. Their opponents are the Death Lords, the rulers of Xibalba, and the losers are decapitated. This is not just a game. In the mid-1970s, an Australian town offered $200,000 to whoever captured the creature. That reward remains These are children who have come to take revenge. Their father was killed on this very road. His head was hung in a tree. Now it is their turn. Some witnesses describe it as shy and reclusive. Others claim it is an aggressive and genuinely dangerous creature indeed. Let us now begin from the very beginning, from the death of the twins' father, from a ball game. The twins' father, Hun Hunappu, and their uncle Vukub Hunappu also played ball, but the sound of their game disturbed Xibalba. The lords of Xibalba sent owl messengers. They invited them to play in the underworld court, and they went. They fell into the first trap. They greeted wooden mannequins imitating the Death Lords. Then they sat on a heated stone bench. Some researchers believe the name derived from the Yahoo legend. 19th century writer Robert Holden wrote that natives believed in the lords of Xibalba took Hun Hunappu's head and hung it on a tree by the road as a warning. According to Old Bungaree's account, the Yahoo was a very fast runner, but was usually overpowered by Aboriginal people in these clashes. The head spoke to her, "Reach out your hand." Xquick reached out. The head spat into her palm, and in that moment, the twins were conceived in her womb. Her father found out and ordered her to be killed. The owl messengers were to return with her heart. As proof, Xquick told the owls the truth and convinced them. They collected the red sap of a tree and took it as a fake heart. Xquick escaped from the underworld. She went to grandmother Xmucain. She said, "I am pregnant with your grandchildren." Xmucain did not believe her. Smucain gave her a test. Collect a full net of corn from the garden. There was only one plant in the garden, but the net was filled. The miracle happened. Artist Nicario Jimenez depicted the legend's evolution layer by layer from the colonial period to today in his retablo El Pistacu. In 1977, former Senator Bill O'Chee reported seeing a Yowie during a school trip to Springbrook, comparing it to Chewbacca from Star Wars. One day, their older brothers scolded them for bringing no birds. The twins played a tree trick. The tree grew taller. The brothers were trapped. The twins told them to untie their loincloths and tie them around their waists. They did. The loincloths became tails. The brothers became monkeys. The town of Kilcoy embraced the legend fully, erecting a Yowie statue, opening a park, and naming its rugby team the Yowies. There was an arrogant god called Seven Macaw. He had metal ornaments on his wings and gemstone teeth. He claimed to be the sun. Hunappu aimed at Seven Macaw in the tree. He fired the blowgun. Seven Macaw fell from the tree, but did not die. As Seven Macaw fled, he grabbed Hunappu's arm and tore it off. Hunappu was left with one arm missing, and he devised a plan. Hunappu devised a plan. He summoned gods disguised as an old dentist couple and sent them to Seven Macaw. Makui described throwing a stone at the creature, which then fled, and offered 40 pounds to capture a specimen for the museum. Seven Macaw died of shame. False gods fall this way, and Hunappu's arm was retrieved. In painter Donald Friend's Hill and Diana about the goldfields near Hill End, the Yowie was described as a species. The twins caught Zapakna with a crab trap. They made a giant fake crab. Zapakna approached with greed. When he fell into the trap, the twins buried him beneath a mountain. Zapakna remained there forever. The younger son, Cabrakan, was also arrogant. He claimed to cause earthquakes and destroy mountains. The twins told Cabrakan a story of a mountain that kept growing and fed him a bird prepared with plaster and gypsum as poison. The plaster weakened him. The twins bound him and buried him in the earth. Cabrakan, too, became their victim. When they caught a rat, the rat revealed a secret to them. Their father's ball game equipment was hidden in the rafters. In 2013, a Lismore resident and a music videographer claimed to see a Yowie just north of Bexhill, but asked to remain anonymous. They started playing in their father's court, and again they made noise. And again they disturbed Xibalba. Xibalba again sent owl messengers, again an invitation to the ball court. This time the Death Lords felt more confident. Researcher Vasquez del Aguila notes the Pistaco is considered untouchable, while his victims are systemically vulnerable people. The twins accepted the invitation. Despite grandmother's worry, they would not fall for the same traps that caught their father. Their father had greeted the mannequins. The twins sent a mosquito ahead. The mosquito bit them. The real ones were revealed. The names were learned. The twins entered Xibalba. They called every Death Lord by name. The lords were shocked. Their traps had not worked. Then they were shown a bench to sit on. The twins did not sit. "This is a cooking stone," they said. The lords were furious. It was the dark house test. They had to keep their torches and cigars lit until morning. They used feathers and fireflies. Finally, the great match began. The twins versus the lords of Xibalba, the rubber ball in the court. Xibalba wanted to use their own ball. The ball was a skull, and inside it was a blade. Hunahpu hit it. The blade came out. The twins said, "We will leave the game." The lords compromised. They agreed to play with the rubber ball, and a long match began. The twins deliberately lost. This was part of the plan. Now the most dangerous rooms awaited. So the case became known worldwide as the Pishtacos affair. The legend's very name had carried over into a real criminal investigation. Scientists point out that alleged Yui footprints are inconsistent in both shape and toe number, which does not point to a single species. The cold house, supernatural cold. The twins survived by pure willpower. They did not freeze. The lords were astonished. The jaguar house. The twins fed bones to the jaguars. The jaguars preferred the bones, and the twins survived. The firehouse. They were slightly singed, but they did not burn to ashes, and they passed through. The lords were hopeful, but there was still one final room. The bat house. The killer bat Camazotz. The twins hid inside their blowguns and waited for morning. Hunahpu peeked his head out. Camazotz was waiting, and it cut off his head. His head became the ball in the court. Spalanx was not hopeless. He called the animals of the forest. The Coatamundi brought a squash. He attached it to his brother's body. But the lack of evidence never stopped the legend. Instead, the yowie became an inseparable part of Australian popular culture. The lords chased the rabbit. Spalanx seized the moment. He retrieved his brother's head. He put the squash in place of the ball. The squash burst. The game was over. Xibalba had been humiliatingly defeated, but they still wanted to destroy the twins. Xibalba built a great oven and summoned the twins again. The twins knew what the oven meant. The twins entered the oven, and they died. Xibalba exhaled with joy, but this was the twins' own plan. Xibalba ground the ashes as fine as flour, threw them in the river, and rejoiced. But they made one mistake. They poured the ashes into the river intact. From the ashes in the river, first 2 catfish formed, then 2 young boys. The twins were reborn from the river. The twins stayed in Xibalba as young boys. They performed miracles. They burned a house and made it whole again. They sacrificed a dog and resurrected it. The greatest performance, Spalanx sacrificed Hunahpu. He rose again. The crowd was in awe, and 1 Death and 7 Death wanted to see. 1 Death and 7 Death said, "Do it to us as well." The twins obliged. They sacrificed them, but did not bring them back. The Pishtaco is like a mirror reflecting the shapes that exploitation and inequality have taken across centuries, still being told today. The Xibalbans confessed, begged for mercy, and the twins decided Xibalba would no longer be great. It would receive no more altar offerings. After their victory, the twins returned to their father's court. They retrieved the remains of Hunahpu from the earth. Piran awoke to morning. The forest is peaceful. Birds are singing, as if knowing that Samadiva's dance is still continuing. Their mission was complete. They emerged from the underworld. They should have stopped at the surface, but they did not. They continued up into the sky. Hunahpu became the sun. He rose in the Maya sky, and from that day to this he rises every single day. Spalanx became the moon. He shone in the night sky, and from that day to this he is there every single night. Today before the World Cup, think about this. 3,000 years ago, people also fought with this much passion over a ball. There is only one difference between Pak Tapak and modern football. For them, the ball game was the line between life and death. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the world's most epic and most mysterious legends. Do not forget to subscribe. And they are watching you, from the sun and the moon, every day and every night. The ones who took revenge, the immortal ones, Hunahpu and Spalanx. The Popol Vuh, one of the world's oldest epics, and the sun rises every morning, the memory of Hunahpu, eternally.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
Before the World Cup excites billions, there was a ball game where the losing army's leader became the ball itself. This is Cuju, China's ancient football, and FIFA itself calls it the earliest documented kicking game in human history. Its origin story begins 5,000 years ago with the Yellow Emperor Huangdi and his monstrous enemy, Qiu. After Huangdi finally defeated Qiu in battle, he reportedly had his enemy's stomach stuffed with hair and made into a ball. From that dark myth, 2,000 years of real and documented history follow through the Han, Tang, and Song dynasties of China. And one street punk will rise to become a Grand Marshal, simply because of his skill with a ball. Today, we tell you the true history of Cuju, the ancient Chinese game that may be the ancestor of football itself. Let us begin at the very beginning, 5,000 years ago, with 2 legendary rulers and 1 terrible war. Huangdi, the Yellow Emperor, is one of China's most important legendary rulers, a wise sovereign and culture hero. His enemy was Chiyu, leader of the Juli tribe, described with a bull's head, horns, and limbs of bronze. Their armies met at the Battle of Jolu, and according to legend, Chiyu summoned a thick supernatural fog. Chiyu commanded storms and mist, and had 81 brothers, each with human bodies and the heads of wild beasts. To counter this, Huangdi called on his own supernatural allies, including Yinglong, the great dragon god associated with rain and water. When Chiyu's fog overwhelmed even the dragon god, Huangdi summoned the drought demon Nuba, who blew the storm clouds away. With the sky finally clear, Chiyu's army could no longer hold their ground. He was defeated and killed in battle. After this victory, Huangdi became ancestor of the Huaxia people, and the ball game born that day became military training. Of course, this is myth. The first real written record of Kuju appears in the Warring States era text, John Guoche. This record describes Linzi, capital of the state of Che, one of the wealthiest cities of ancient China. In Linzi, people loved music, chess, and Kuju. The text says no household lacked these forms of entertainment. The historian Sima Xian also recorded Kuju in his Records of the Grand Historian, written during the Han Dynasty. Another ancient text, the Bie Lu, directly claims that Huangdi created Kuju specifically to train his soldiers through structured play. As Qi led the unification of China, this origin story became a unifying legend for the entire new nation. After the Warring States period ended, the Han Dynasty ruled China from 202 BC to 220 AD. This stability brought wealth and cultural sophistication, and in this environment, Kuju finally began to flourish across China. It is said that Emperor Wu Di personally enjoyed the sport. Kuju was no longer just for soldiers. During this period, Kuju matches became standardized for the first time, with clear and consistent rules established across the empire. A special arena called the Ju Chang was constructed for these matches, with 6 crescent-shaped goalposts placed at each end. A Han military manual from this era describes Kuju as a formal exercise used to train cavalry soldiers. Kuju quickly spread beyond the military, reaching the royal courts and the wealthy upper classes throughout Han society. Kuju matches were often held right inside the imperial palace itself. A soldier's exercise had truly become an emperor's entertainment. The sport improved greatly during the Tang Dynasty. The old feather-stuffed ball was replaced by an air-filled ball. 2 new goal styles emerged. One used posts with a net between them, the other a single central post. The Tang capital Chang'an was completely filled with Kuju fields, even in the private backyards of the city's largest mansions. Soldiers of the Imperial Army and the elite Goldbird Guard formed Kuju teams to entertain the emperor. During this golden age, the skill level of female Kuju teams also improved dramatically, with players performing impressively at court. Kuju became popular even among scholars. If a courtier lacked skill, he could simply act as scorekeeper instead. Emperor Jingzong of the Tang Dynasty loved Kuju so deeply it was said that being emperor was merely his side job. A 9th century poet named Zhang Wupo even wrote a rhapsody. It's titled The Ball Filled with Air. Kuju reached its peak during the Song Dynasty. Social and economic growth spread the sport to every class. Professional Kuju players became genuinely popular celebrities during this era. The sport began taking on a distinctly commercial edge. Players fell into 2 groups. Some performed for the royal court, others made a civilian living as players. A famous surviving painting shows Emperor Song Taizu playing Kuju together with his brother and Prime Minister Zhaopu. During the Song Dynasty, only a single goalpost was set up in the very center of the field. There were 2 main styles of Kuju. Jukyu was the formal court version, while Baida focused purely on individual skill. In Baida, using your hands was strictly forbidden. Scoring depended entirely on avoiding fouls in the enclosed field. A historical record called Dongjing Menghua Lu describes a Kuju league named Qi Yun She with national championships. Now meet Gao Qiu, born in Kaifeng with no family business, no land, and no future at all. According to the records, his only real skill was this: he could wield sticks and kick a ball extremely well. While delivering gifts one ordinary day, Gao Qiu had a chance encounter with a young prince named Duan. Gao Qiu kicked the ball back to the prince using a special trick called Yuanyang Guai. Everyone was amazed. That young prince later became Emperor Huizong of the Song Dynasty, and Gao Qiu's entire fortune changed forever. Within just a few years, Gao Qiu rose to become Grand Marshal, the highest military position in all of China. The novel Water Margin made Gao Qiu its main villain, but real historical records describe a much kinder man. He secretly helped the disciples of the famous poet Su Shi even when they fell from imperial favor. Through the Silk Road, the game of Kuju spread west and across Asia, especially the Tang Dynasty's inflatable ball. In Japan, Kuju influenced a sport called Kamari. The very same character is used to write both names. Kamari is still played in Japan today, on special ceremonial occasions exactly as it has been for centuries. Kuju was also played in ancient Korea. Similar kicking games appear throughout East Asian history and shared culture. Across the region, related games still exist: Sepak Takraw in Malaysia and Thailand, Jianzi and Shinlone in Myanmar. In many ways, Cuju is the grandmother of all these kicking games, a shared sporting heritage stretching back 2,000 years. But every golden age eventually ends. During the Ming Dynasty, Cuju slowly began to decline through simple neglect. A sport with 2,000 years of continuous history slowly began to fade away from Chinese daily life. 15th century paintings still show the Zhuan emperor watching his court eunuchs play, a fading echo of glory. Eventually, the sport disappeared almost entirely from daily life. After 2,000 years, Cuju nearly vanished from memory completely. But Cuju was never truly forgotten. FIFA officially cites it as the earliest documented kicking game in history. In 2010, the city of Lindsay organized a real Cuju match. Locals and foreigners played together in period costumes. Brazilian football superstar Kaká even played Cuju during an official visit to China, dressed completely in traditional Hanfu clothing. Now think about the World Cup. Billions of people watching grown men chase a ball with total devotion. 2,000 years ago, people felt that exact same passion. The only real difference was the stakes involved. From a mythological monster's stomach, to imperial courts, to a Brazilian superstar in silk robes, the ball never stopped rolling. If you enjoyed this hidden history behind the World Cup, we'll keep uncovering more ancient legends. Don't forget to subscribe. Cuju, China's ancient game, born from myth, perfected by emperors, and still echoing every time a ball is kicked.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
1,000 years ago, Japanese nobles played a game. There was no winner, there was no loser, only grace. Her name is Iyara. Brazilians call her Mãe das Águas, mother of the waters, and her voice drives people to madness. There was no winner, there was no loser. The only goal, never let the ball touch the ground. Together. Hands are never used, only the feet, the knees, the back. Control is everything, not power. Survivors emerge with teeth marks on their necks, symptoms like rabies. But the opposite, they are irresistibly drawn to water. Its story begins in the year 644, at a temple in Nara with the friendship of two young men. Today we tell you the true history of Kamari, Japan's 1,000-year-old non-competitive ball game. Let us now begin from the very start. From that very ancient time when Viking ships first approached Iceland's shores, the Tupi and Guarani people lived along the Amazon for centuries. The river was everything to them, and the river had a spirit. The word Iyara comes from the Ngatu language. It consists of two words, I meaning water and Yara meaning lord or lady. They were on the same team that day, Fujiwara no Kamatari and Prince Nakano-Oe. This simple game was the start of a friendship. Iceland is a country filled with earthquakes, volcanoes, and avalanches. These unpredictable forces had to have but to be honest, some historians believe this first game was actually Botsamari, a different game played using a cane. The most reliable early record of the word Kamari is found in a text called Hancho Gitsuryo. The year is 701. In some versions, Iyara's tail belongs to a pink river dolphin, and she carries a blowhole on her neck. The court is called Shihon Kakari. Its corners are marked by pine, cherry, willow, and maple trees. The ball is called a mari, made from deerskin with the hair facing inward, shaped with barley grains, then sewn with horse leather. Samodivas live inside ancient trees, in abandoned huts, or in caves near water sources in the mountains. Players wear karagonu. This was the everyday clothing worn by court nobles during the Heian period. The famous writer Murasaki Shikibu described Kamari as not exactly a stately sport, even boisterous. Yet it was still much admired. God said, "What man hides from me, I will hide from man." Those children and their descendants became the Huldafolk. Second story, angels who took no side in the devil's revolt were expelled from heaven. They went to neither hell nor heaven. It was a night of full moon. Fish surrounded her, and Iyara transformed into a mermaid, both powerful and immortal. Her voice drives a man completely mad. The man no longer eats, drinks, or thinks of anything else whatsoever. In the 12th century, Fujiwara no Naramichi gained fame as the greatest master of Kamari. He made more than 50 visits to the Kumano shrine, praying specifically that his skill would improve. In some versions, she takes the man to her underwater home. She meets his needs, but the man grows old and dies there. Iyara is immortal, but her lovers age and die, and she is always left alone. This is her true curse. Samodiva's power comes from her hair. If her long, wild golden hair is cut, she either vanishes or loses all. New rules, new equipment, new techniques emerged. Kamari was no longer a casual, improvised game. Kamari even found its way into Japan's greatest work of literature, Murasaki Shikibu's The Tale of Genji. The novel portrays the game as a touching part of everyday court life, both serious and playful at once. On New Year's Eve, the Huldafolk move to new homes, and Icelanders leave candles for them to help them find their way. From the 13th century onward, even reigning and retired emperors attended formal Kamari matches. During the Kamakura period, Kamari gained popularity among the samurai class. Even warriors embraced this elegance. South Africa's African rock python is genuinely one of the world's largest snakes, but the Groot slang accounts go far beyond even this. But during the Sengoku period, amid constant warfare, sumo wrestling rose in popularity, and Kamari declined. But in the Edo period, Kamari was reborn, this time among the merchant and townspeople class in Kansai. By the Edo period, Kamari had moved beyond the nobility. Merchants and wealthy landowners began to play as well. In the legend, the Groot slang lies coiled at the bottom of this dark pool. It surrounds its gold and jewels. Above it, his fiancée told the man regularly visited that canal. One day, he returned disturbed. He admitted he had seen. Today, Kamari is still played as a seasonal event at shrines throughout the Kansai region. At Shirmin Shrine lives a kami called Seidai Myojin, the spirit of the ball, even today, respected by modern football players. In 1992, even American President George H.W. Bush played Kamari during his visit to Japan. Every year on January 4th, the Kamari Hajime Festival is held at Shimogamo Shrine in Kyoto. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling you about the world's oldest and most elegant sports. Don't forget to subscribe. Kamari, a game with no winner. For 1,000 years, the ball has never touched the ground, and it never will.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
The forest streams and waterfalls of northern Europe always look beautiful, but this beauty is a trap. Its name is Nixie, or Nix, Necken, Nuk, Nikor. It has many names, but they all tell the same story. There was no winner, there was no loser. The only goal, never let the ball touch the ground, together. Then it disappears. It dissolves into the water, leaves you following behind, on the shore or within. Survivors emerge with teeth marks on their necks, symptoms like rabies. But the opposite, they are irresistibly drawn to water. Sometimes in Germany, it appears as a woman on the rocks of the Rhine River. With its song, it steers you into the reefs. Today, we tell you about the oldest and most dangerous water spirit of Germanic and Scandinavian mythology. Its name is the Nixie. Let us begin from the very start, from where this water spirit comes from, and why it has been feared for 10 centuries. The name Nixie comes from Proto-Germanic Niquus, or Niquus. Its Indo-European root means to wash. Poseidon answered, a snow-white bull rose from the sea, miraculous, magnificent, and Minos was supposed to sacrifice it. Its most fundamental characteristic is shape-shifting. It can be a human, a horse, a snake, a fish, a treasure, or a floating object. Jacob Grimm wrote, the Nix is recognized by its slit ear and the Nix by its wet skirt, signs that higher beings could shift to animal form. But to be honest, some historians believe this first game was actually Botsumari, a different game played using a cane. In the 19th century Romantic era, the Nixie transformed into a weeping figure. It longs for salvation, but is not a child of God. In some versions, Iyara's tail belongs to a pink river dolphin, and she carries a blowhole on her neck. The times when the Nixie is most active are known: Midsummer Night, Christmas Eve, and Thursdays. It overlaps with the pagan calendar. The majority of these beliefs developed after Christianization. The church transformed pagan water spirits into dangerous demonic figures. But not every Nixie is dangerous. In many accounts, it is entirely harmless. It enchants both women and men only with its music. The Scandinavian Necken or Nuke, a male water spirit playing violin in rivers and waterfalls. Its music is supernatural. It does not release the listener. In the southern Scandinavian version, the Nixie transforms into a horse, Bakahastin, the brook horse, white, glowing, irresistible. It never releases the one who climbs on. The horse gallops to the river, and the rider drowns. In the Faroe Islands, it is also known as the Nikur. In Lake Fagertarn in Sweden's Tiveden Forest, a legend unfolds. A poor fisherman and his beautiful daughter, and the Nixie. Today, Knossos has been excavated. It has 1,300 rooms. It is said the labyrinth was the palace itself, but this is disputed. There is also a geologist's theory. Callimachus describes the Minotaur as a bellowing sound underground. Perhaps it was earthquakes. In Scandinavia, water lilies are known today as Nuckarosor or Necrosor. It means Nixie roses. According to Scandinavian belief, swimmers would throw a piece of steel into the water to protect themselves against the Nixie. Every 9 years, Athens would send 7 young men and 7 young maidens to Crete as sacrificial victims for the Minotaur. The Nixie known as Fossagrim teaches violin, but this requires the right gift: 3 drops of blood, a black animal, or Brenvin. In Finnish folklore, the Neki primarily represents the dangerous side of the water spirit. It lies in ambush for swimmers about to enter the water. Finns would say before swimming, Neki onto the land, me into the water. The reverse when returning. They learned this tradition from the Swedes. Kamari even found its way into Japan's greatest work of literature, Murasaki Shikibu's The Tale of Genji. He promised his father, "If I return victorious, I will change the sail to white." This promise would be forgotten and cost a king his life. In Estonia, there is the Manak, or land knack. The corpse of someone who died a violent death holds its spirit prisoner. Those who sit near it fall ill. In South Karelia, the water spirit was believed to be the Veden Emo, meaning mother of water, the oldest Finnish form of the female water spirit. In Germany, the Nixie takes the feminine form, the Nixie, a river mermaid with fishtail or wet dress. It lures men and drowns them. In the German epic Nibelungenlied, the Nix is mentioned in connection with the Danube River. This dates to between 1180 and 1210. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe wrote the poem Der Fischer in 1779, the story of a fisherman lured into the water by a Nix. But in the Edo period, Kamari was reborn, this time among the merchant and townspeople class in Kansai. By the Edo period, Kamari had moved beyond the nobility. Merchants and wealthy landowners began to play as well. In Switzerland, it was believed that a Nix lived in Lake Zug as well. In German-speaking regions, the water spirit legend is everywhere. In Richard Wagner's Ring Cycle, the Rhine Maidens are the most artistic interpretation of the Nix. In Das Rheingold, they guard the gold. In Wagner's narrative, the dwarf Alberich curses love and steals the gold. The Rhine Maidens struggle to reclaim the ring. Jacob Grimm recorded this: "When the Nix is in human form, she can be recognized by her wet skirt. Whoever sees this must flee." The legend of Heer Haelvine in Dutch and Flemish folklore may also originate from the Nix. With his magic song, he lures women to their deaths. Every year on January 4th, the Kamari Hajime Festival is held at Shimogamo Shrine in Kyoto. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling you about the world's oldest and most elegant sports. Don't forget to subscribe. In the Faroe Islands, the Nikur appears to humans in male form. It approaches young women. It promises joy and gladness in its underwater hall. Ariadne woke. There was no ship. There was no Theseus. She had betrayed her own people, and now she had nowhere at all. Fossegrim's music is extraordinary. It passes the sound of the forest, the sound of the wind, and the sound of water through its violin. With the right gift, Fossegrim teaches violin so powerfully that trees dance, waterfalls stop, and the eyes of the blind open. Fossegrim falls into melancholy without constant contact with a water source. If separated from a river or waterfall, it loses its life. The Black Sail. Theseus is dead. Aegeus reached this conclusion, and he threw himself in Disney's 2019 film Frozen 2, Elsa tames the water spirit Nuke in the form of a horse. The Nixie legend reaches millions of viewers. In the game Rainbow Six Siege, the Danish operator Nuke is an agent who disappears from cameras using invisibility technology. 1,300 rooms, labyrinth-like corridors. It is said that the palace itself gave birth to the Labyrinth legend. Bull-leaping frescoes were found at Knossos. In Minoan culture, the bull was a sacred animal. The Minotaur legend may originate from there. There was a strong woman, a skilled warrior, the best in her tribe, and that is why they wanted her dead. Today, on midsummer nights in Scandinavian lakes, children are still told, "Do not go near the water's edge." The Nixie, in Stagnelius's poem, weeps. It wants salvation, but it is not a child of God, and it no longer plays in the silvery brook. In Sweden's Tiveden forest, the water lilies are still red. Each one tells the story of the girl who refused to go to the Nixie. In Borges' story, The House of Asterion, the Minotaur waits for his redeemer. He thinks every visitor comes to save him. The Nixie lives in two worlds, above water and below. It appears in the world of humans, but the place it pulls, you cannot be entered by humans. The word labyrinth is pre-Greek. It comes from the Minoan labries, the double-headed axe, the sacred symbol of, and it looks at you one final time from the mist. It invites you, but you know you must not follow that music. The water does not stop, and this legend does not stop. 10 centuries have passed. The stream is still the same. The Nixie is still there. Today, you can visit Knossos. It is a real place, and perhaps underground, a part of the labyrinth is still waiting. The Minotaur, both fear and sorrow, both monster and prisoner, both living in the labyrinth and carrying that labyrinth, and it slowly sinks. It always sinks, because below the water is its world. It always has been and always will be. Black rocks and green moss, two worlds side by side, two peoples together, and it has always been this way. Dawn breaks, the stream flows, and somewhere the sound of a violin. Nixie, eternally. Nixie. It has been here for 10 centuries, in every river, lake, and waterfall of Northern Europe. And do you hear its music? It is not visible, but it is felt. It is always felt. This is why, for 10 centuries, people have been afraid to walk near the water's edge. The white horse disappears into the mist, and the stream flows. And the water lilies are red, and violin music. Always violin music. And the sun sets. Over Iceland, over the volcanic landscape, and two worlds watch this sunset together. The Amazon, endless, deep, and magnificently alive. So is Yara, endless, deep, always present here and always will be.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
In the northernmost tip of South Africa, there is a desert, one of the most remote and harshest corners of the world, and something hides beneath it. Its name is Grootslang. In Afrikaans and Dutch, it means big snake, but this name is not enough to explain what it truly is. Its eyes shine like diamonds. Those who see its track are filled with terror. It leaves a trail 3 feet wide behind it. It enters a cave in the Richtersveld called the Bottomless Pit, and that cave is filled with diamonds. No one has ever returned. In 1917, Oxford-educated English businessman Peter Grayson said, "I will return either very rich or dead." He was never seen again. The one man who descended into the cave smelled strong sulfur. He dropped his torch. He never descended again. That was a wise decision. Today, we tell you South Africa's most ancient and most dangerous legend. Its name is Grootslang, the guardian of the diamonds. Let us now begin from the very start, from the very first moment of creation, from that ancient day when the gods made a terrible mistake. According to the belief of the San people, the Grootslang is older than the world itself. It existed at the very beginning of creation. In the legend, when the gods were creating new creatures, they made a great mistake. They gave the Grootslang too much power, intelligence, and cunning. When the gods realized their mistake, they split the Grootslang in two. In doing so, they created the first snakes and the first elephants. But one escaped. It slipped into the darkness before the gods could reach it, and it has been there ever since, along with its diamonds. This cave, known as the Wonder Hole, descends 60 feet straight down. Then a steep incline begins. The passages branch off into tunnels. In the legend, the cave connects to the Orange River through underground tunnels. The diamonds slowly mix into the river current. Arby's Falls on the Orange River is also considered a lair of the Grootslang, the dark pool beneath the King George Cataract. In the version described by Lawrence G. Green, the Grootslang is coiled around a vast hoard of gold and precious gems right here. The Sand people say this: the Grootslang is eternal. It will guard its treasure for as long as the world exists. This promise has never been broken. F.C. Cornell wrote in 1920, "The Kuko people believe in this serpent legend deeply, and they approach it with great fear." The Wonder Hole is 3 miles from the Orange River, near the Annisfontein Spring. It is a real place that truly exists. In indigenous folklore, 2 white men are said to have descended into the cave for stones that sparkled like fire. Neither could get them out. One prospector used a cable winch to descend. He reached a ledge. The tunnels continued deeper inside. There was a strong smell of sulfur. In the Sand legend, the Grootslang can also transform itself into a young woman. It lures men to the Orange Riverbank and drowns them. F.C. Cornell wrote, "The Grootslang lives inside a large rock in the middle of the Orange River. It takes cattle from the banks." Secondary exploration of the cave found only bat guano, no diamonds, but this did not deter people from searching further. Floyd wrote in 1998, "The Grootslang is a spirit tasked with guarding its cavern, and its presence is marked by an overpowering sense of evil." 1917. Oxford graduate Peter Grayson set out for the Richtersveld with 6 companions. The goal, to capture the Grootslang and claim the diamonds. On the very first night in camp, a lion attacked the party. 1 member died. 1 was seriously injured. This was only the beginning. A few days later, the 3rd member died from a poisonous bite, and Peter Grayson himself disappeared. He was never seen again. Many believed the Grootslang had taken him. The Richtersveld never gave up this secret, and to this day, it still has not. In 1907, prospector Hans Sauer descended into the Wonder Hole. He saw a serpent 40 feet long with glowing eyes and black scales. According to Sauer's account, the serpent's eyes emitted a hypnotic light. It smelled of musk. Sauer fled. He was lucky. Its length is between 12 and 15 meters. The track it leaves is 90 centimeters wide. No human stands beside it to compare. In some accounts, the Grootslang has diamonds in its eye sockets. This detail was considered a narrative exaggeration by Lawrence G. Green. According to Sand belief, the Grootslang is older than the world itself. It has been here since the beginning of time, and it will be here until the end. Lawrence G. Green offered another interpretation. This legend may have been inspired by real African rock pythons. They can reach 25 feet. South Africa's African rock python is genuinely one of the world's largest snakes, but the Grootslang accounts go far beyond even this. The Richtersveld is genuinely a diamond-rich region. The Orange River transported diamonds from the Kimberley area here millions of years ago. The Richtersveld was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List in 2007. It is the world's only arid biodiversity hotspot. Aukerby's Falls is where the Orange River plunges 56 meters down. The pool below is dark and deep, and according to legend, it is full of diamonds. In the legend, the Grootslang lies coiled at the bottom of this dark pool. It surrounds its gold and jewels. Above it, the water thunders. In the early 20th century, South African prospectors looked at this pool with diamond-seeking eyes. What was beneath the current? NASA investigated buried diamond deposits along ancient drainage lines of the Orange River in the Richtersveld. Real science and legend overlap. This land stands on 2-billion-year-old volcanic rocks. The diamonds were transported by the river millions of years ago. Wikipedia places the Groot slang in a similar category to the Mokala Mbembe and the Arizima, the family of Africa's hidden great reptiles. In 2001, Carol Rose described the Groot slang as being as big as an elephant in her Encyclopedia Giants, Monsters, and Dragons. Important note, according to Wikipedia, 21st century media added a trunk and elephant tusks to the Groot slang. These are not in the original legend. The original Groot slang is purely a serpent. It has no elephant features. This is a misconception created by the merging of separate legends. In 1998, journalist Rendall Floyd documented this legend. He wrote about how disappearances in the region continued to feed the legend. In the animated series The Secret Saturdays, the Groot slang was depicted as a four-tusked, green-skinned elephant, very different from the original. In the game Kingdom Rush Origins, the Groot slang appears in the Crystal Lake stage. It turns towers to crystal with its breath. In the Lumberjanes comic series, the Groot slang creates a massive snowstorm threatening the camp. Every culture reinterprets it. Pop culture changed it, but deep in the Richtersveld, the real legend did not change. It never changes. Today, the Nama and Kuko people living in the Richtersveld continue to carry this legend. This is a matter of deep cultural memory. Diamond mining companies operating in the Richtersveld work under extreme secrecy. What happens in this region does not reach the public. The Richtersveld can reach 53 degrees in summer. Nights are freezing. There is no permanent water source. This desert protects itself. The Orange River is this region's only permanent water source. It gives life, and perhaps there is also something living within it. The Groot slang is as old as the diamonds in the earth, and the diamonds of the Richtersveld are as ancient as rocks 2 billion years old. As we approach the end of this video, I want to ask you a question that truly makes you think about the Groot slang. The diamonds are real. The Wonderhole is real, the Richtersveld is real, but is the Groot slang real? The question has remained the same for centuries. For centuries, the Coco people have said, some places have guardians for a reason. Because of that guardian, do not go there. Ockerby's Falls still exists today. The King George Cataract still falls with the same thunder. The pool is still dark and deep. And down there, something lies coiled and waiting. It is patient. It has waited since the world began. It can wait a little longer. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the world's most mysterious and most dangerous legends. And from the entrance of the Wonderhole, it looks at you one final time with its ancient eyes. And the question still hangs, is it real? The Orange River has been flowing for millions of years. It carried the diamonds. It also carried the legend. And both live on with the river. Groot slang, the great serpent of the Orange River, the guardian of the diamonds, the eternal secret of the Richtersveld, and still there. The Richtersveld is silent at night, but this silence is not empty. Deep below, something is felt. It is always felt. And it slowly retreats into the darkness. It always retreats, because the Wonderhole is its own. It always has been, and always will be. The cave is dark, silent. Deep inside, there are diamonds, and perhaps something even larger, something older than the world itself. The Orange River turns golden at dawn. The diamonds are still in the current. The Groot slang is still in the depths. And this story is not over. Groot slang, older than the world itself, and it has diamonds in its eyes. It could add yours too, if you get close enough. The stars shine, the diamonds shine, and in the depths of the Wonderhole, two burning lights in the darkness. The Groot slang, eternally, and it completely disappears. It merges into the darkness, together with its diamonds, silently, always like this. It will always be like this. The Richtersveld can be visited today, a UNESCO World Heritage Site in the northernmost tip of South Africa. But be careful. Groot slang, the great serpent of the Orange River, older than the world itself, guarding its diamonds, and waiting for you too.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
A single creature lived in the labyrinth. Its name was Asterion, and it never wanted to eat anyone. He waited at the center of the labyrinth. He always waited. Perhaps a visitor would come. Those who came to kill him. There was no winner, there was no loser. The only goal, never let the ball touch the ground. Together. And finally, someone came. Theseus, holding a sword and a ball of thread, to kill him. Survivors emerge with teeth marks on their necks, symptoms like rabies. But the opposite, they are irresistibly drawn. Everything happened in Crete, at the palace of Knossos. And this palace still stands, and the secret of the labyrinth is still debated. Today, we tell you the most tragic and most misunderstood story of Greek mythology, the Minotaur. Let us now begin from the very start, from that very ancient time when Viking ships first approached Iceland's shores. Minos was competing with his brothers for the throne of Crete, and he prayed to Poseidon, "Send me a sign." Poseidon answered, "A snow-white bull rose from the sea, miraculous, magnificent, and Minos was supposed to sacrifice it." But Minos could not resist the animal's beauty. He decided to keep it, and sacrificed an ordinary bull instead. Iceland is a country filled with earthquakes, volcanoes, and avalanches. These unpredictable forces had to have an own. But to be honest, some historians believe this first game was actually Botsamari, a different game played using a cane. Pasiphae went to Daedalus, to the master craftsman, and she wanted him to make something impossible. In some versions, Iyara's tail belongs to a pink river dolphin, and she carries a blowhole on her neck. The court is called Shihon Kakari. Its corners are marked by pine, cherry, willow, and maple trees. There was no natural source of nourishment, and so he devoured humans, a fate that was not his own choice. Samodivas live inside ancient trees, in abandoned huts, or in caves near water sources in the mountains. Daedalus designed the labyrinth with the help of his son Icarus. This structure was designed so that no one who entered could ever get out. It was built directly beneath Knossos, endless winding corridors, a structure with no exit, a prison. Antisterion was taken inside. The labyrinth gate was closed, not for that day, forever. Then Minos imprisoned Daedalus and Icarus as well. No one should know the secrets of the labyrinth. Today, Knossos has been excavated. It has 1,300 rooms. It is said the labyrinth was the palace itself, but this is disputed. There is also a geologist's theory. Callimachus describes the Minotaur as a bellowing sound underground. Perhaps it was earthquakes. In the 12th century, Fujiwara no Naramichi gained fame as the greatest master of Kamari. Minos went mad with fury and declared war on Athens. Athens was defeated, and the price was heavy. Every 9 years, Athens would send 7 young men and 7 young maidens to Crete as sacrificial victims for the Minotaur. Iyara is immortal, but her lovers age and die, and she is always left alone. This is her true curse. King Aegeus watched every time, his own people's children leaving, and could do nothing. And the sacrificial victims entered the labyrinth in the darkness, and the Minotaur was there, and it devoured them. Kamari even found its way into Japan's greatest work of literature, Murasaki Shikibu's The Tale of Genji. He promised his father, "If I return victorious, I will change the sail to white." This promise would be forgotten and cost a king his life. On New Year's Eve, the Huldufolk moved to new homes, and Icelanders leave candles for them to help them find their way. The ship pulled into Crete. Theseus stepped ashore, and above, on the hill, stood the palace of Knossos. During the Kamakura period, Kamari gained popularity among the samurai class. Even warriors embraced this elegance. She secretly found Theseus at night. She held out a red thread to him. "Tie it to your wrist. You can follow your path back." But during the Sengoku period, amid constant warfare, sumo wrestling rose in popularity, but in the Edo period, Kamari was reborn, this time among the merchant and townspeople class in Kansai. By the Edo period, Kamari had moved beyond the nobility. Merchants and wealthy landowners began to play as well. At the center of the labyrinth, Asterion heard footsteps for the first time in a long time, and he waited. And they met. They came face to face, a hero and a prisoner, and the fight began. The sources tell it differently. Some say he killed him with a sword, some with a club, some with his bare hands. But the result is the same. Asterion died at the center of the labyrinth for a fate that was not his own fault, the victim of a wrong god's punishment. Theseus followed the thread, and he emerged from the labyrinth. Ariadne was waiting at the gate. Every year on January 4th, the Kamari Hajime Festival is held at Shimogamo Shrine in Kyoto. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling you about the world's oldest and most elegant sports. Don't forget to subscribe. And Theseus left. He left Ariadne sleeping, and he set sail. Ariadne woke. There was no ship. There was no Theseus. She had betrayed her own people, and now she had nowhere at all. But on Naxos there was someone else, Dionysus, and he saw her, and he made her his wife. Theseus was sailing home, victorious, happy, and he forgot his promise to change the black sail. Aegeus waited every day from Cape Sunion. He waited for the white sail, and he saw the black sail. The black sail! Theseus is dead. Aegeus reached this conclusion, and he threw himself into the sea. Theseus arrived in Athens, and he learned his father was dead because of his own forgetfulness. The Aegean Sea carried his name. Iyara is today a very popular female name in Brazil, Lady of the Waters. The legend lives on in the name. 1,300 rooms, labyrinth-like corridors. It is said that the palace itself gave birth to the labyrinth legend. Bull-leaping frescoes were found at Knossos. In Minoan culture, the bull was a sacred animal. The Minotaur legend may originate from there. There was a strong woman, a skilled warrior, the best in her tribe, and that is why they wanted her dead. Strmiska has a wonderful expression. Huldufolk are not supernatural, but ultranatural, a profound reverence for nature itself. In Dante's Inferno, Canto 12, the Minotaur is guardian of the circle of violence. Virgil taunts him, "The one who killed you is not here." And at night, she sings to the empty river. She is immortal, but she is alone. This is her real story. In Borges' story, The House of Asterion, the Minotaur waits for his redeemer. He thinks every visitor comes to save him. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the Minotaur is a boss fight. A thousands-year-old legend reached new generations digitally. The word labyrinth is pre-Greek. It comes from the Minoan labres, the double-headed axe, the sacred symbol of Crete. If you enjoyed this video, we will continue telling the darkest and most captivating legends of Greek mythology. Do not forget to subscribe. And the Huldufolk dance beneath the northern lights. Every winter, every new year, and Icelanders leave candles for them. Today, you can visit Knossos. It is a real place. And perhaps underground, a part of the labyrinth is still waiting. The Minotaur, both fear and sorrow, both monster and prisoner, both living in the labyrinth and carrying that labyrinth within.
Myth Revealed. Hit that like button, subscribe to Myth Revealed, and ring the bell.
Humans fear what hides in the dark, but fear is what keeps legends alive. And tonight, we are very alive.
They say you only see me when the beer flows freely and the moon is full. Others say I am just a legend. But then, why does every hunter keep my portrait on his wall?
The rivers remember my name. The settlers feared me, but the old people called me neighbor.
My voice carries joy, but also forgetfulness. Is forgetting a curse or a mercy?
Japan. Feudal times. I appear as a beautiful woman playing the biwa. My music enchants samurai, merchants, lords. It is far too late.
Puerto Rico, 1995. They found the goats drained of blood. They blamed me. They named me. Now I am everywhere.
Bulgaria. Thrace. We dance where the fireflies gather. Men who watch us cannot stop.
Before you step on my mound, say, "Excuse me." That is all I ask.
Amazon. My voice is carried along by the current. The fishermen hear me and drop their nets.
We are the hidden people. We live inside your lava rocks, your hills, your cliffs.
I do not hunt. I do not chase. I simply play my violin. And sooner or later, you walk into the water.
I am Hunapu, one blowgunner. We play a game where the losers are decapitated. And I am Zbalank, the jaguar's son. Rulers of the underworld couldn't defeat us.
If you want to stay in our world, hit the subscribe button.
And leave a comment, or my threads will find you.
Come on, like the video.